bit. Right, all the way over there.
Welcome everyone. It is 8 o'clock on Thursday, and once again we are live. And as Emmy really cuttingly points out, perhaps we should start wrapping up the stream right now.
I mean, I figure if we start the wrap up now,
Yeah.
we'll make it a half hour in on some random bullshit story that will come up partway through. That will branch off into something that will carry us through till 9 o'clock, easy. And then by that point, we've used half our time. We'll be halfway through our wrap up.
Yeah, we'll eventually get through.
good.
We could be done by 11.
Yeah.
Easy. So, hopefully you're all joining us and the weather is good where you are. It is very good here, almost perhaps I would say too good.
Yeah.
It's a little bit much right now. It's been 30 degrees for the past, I don't know,
Too
4
long.
days,
Too long.
5 days, something
Yeah.
like that, which it's making working outside a bit of a challenge, but it's very much...
Are you just getting
yeah,
audio back from...
I suddenly looped back round. There we go. So yes,
Excuse me, sorry. I'm going to keep doing this all stream.
yeah, hay fever's still pretty bad around here. You've been dying from it. Yolanda's been dying. I left for a few days, so I've managed to avoid the bulk of it, and I'm actually feeling healthy again, which is wonderful. But
It's
yeah,
fine. I've got regenerative fruit juice and some regenerative tea, so I should be on top form by the time we're done with the stream.
I should get a cold snack.
That is my cold snack.
Yeah, but
This
I need
cold fruit. Oh, you
I
need to, yeah.
I need to get a cold snack. At the moment, I've got Pepsi in this mug.
A bit
But yeah.
disappointing, really.
It is a little bit. But this is another kind of unprepared stream because we've done a lot of work, but we actually haven't done very much work for tonight. So we're going to kind of wing it a little bit. And
Yeah,
see
I've got
what
no
you
CAD
can all
to go
bring in.
through. I've got nothing 3D printing.
Yeah, we've still got our brackets, which
We have not revisited.
we've not
in the last
revisited,
week.
but it's basically there, but for a tiny little tweak on the top edge.
It's annoying because it is so close to ready
Yeah.
that I absolutely, by all rights, I should have this piece ready to test and show up. Hell, it should be on the car by now, really, for what small change it was.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do that and set
Yeah,
it
I mean, I can
printing,
actually
yeah.
make the change.
Yeah, we'll
while
get
we
into
work.
a little bit. So if you get it ready to go,
Why is my
we can-
laptop so warm? It's horrible to just have my hands on it.
we can just talk through that. But yeah, it's been a pretty good week, all told. The weekend we got a lot of stuff done on all the cars, really. The rear shocks are now replaced on the Thunderbird. I was very much going to have the original shocks here, and I just went outside to look for them, and I can't find them, which means I think I've put them in the boot of the car, and I didn't have time to take the cover off, get them out and everything else, and still be here for 8 o'clock, which I know you're all desperate to see us on time, maybe, possibly.
I think they're more desperate to see us late because then they get to poke fun at us. That's
fair
way
point.
more fun for
Yeah.
everyone, I think.
Fair point. But yes, so they were in fact completely collapsed, so that will be next week's episode. This week's episode is back on the
dude.
kit car again. We've got a lot of stuff done on that. And we finally, for all of our patrons who are watching, which is definitely Emmy at the moment, we actually built the exhaust. We've actually built the patron exhaust after...
That we've been dangling in front of the patrons as a carrot for, hey, if you support us, we'll build this. I mean, it's only been what, a year and a half, maybe more?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure you bought the parts before I disappeared in lockdown last year.
Which
in
is
the before
15
times.
months
Yeah.
ago now, so 16 months. Yeah, it was probably actually around January, February that I bought it before lockdown.
We have Kuma and Owen from Weird Car Twitter
Oh,
in
excellent.
chat.
Welcome, new
Hello.
people.
This is why I'm not playing Forza right now.
Exactly, I've dragged him down here and put him in front of a camera, which is always good fun.
Way outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Having to talk to people.
And doing CAD at the same time.
I'm doing stress CAD again, yeah.
You're getting pretty good at the old stress CAD, though.
I mean,
It's
usually
not
what I
that
do
much
though
stress.
is I just shut up and let you talk for a while I do. Oh, I hit the wrong button.
And I ramble.
Yeah.
But yes, so we've got an episode coming up on Saturday this week. Saturday for patrons, Sunday this week. It should be out about lunchtime on Sunday, all being well. I've actually finished editing it. I say well ahead of time today. It's not that long. Our QC, White Knight, is currently going through that, or hopefully will be soon if I sent him the link. I might not have done. Do let me know if I haven't, because I can probably send it from here. So that will be coming out this weekend, and that's building the exhaust for the car. And having built it, we've already decided that we need to change a couple of bits of it.
Yeah, it survived less than an hour before we realised it was turd.
Yep, pretty much. I've actually.
No, sorry. No, that's me being too harsh.
No,
it's not turd.
Yeah.
There's one particular part of it that we think is horrible.
It's perfectly reasonable. It's functional, and it does everything that we need it to do. However, it could look a little bit neater.
Yeah. How much will it be to insure once it's done? We dread to think. We don't want to think too much about that.
Where are you seeing that chat?
That's in. It's the last one from.
Is that on
from
Tube?
Kuma, the
Wow,
I'm
not getting anything on live chat in there.
I don't know,
there we go.
I don't know exactly what insurance works like in America. Kuma's from Florida in Arizona, if I remember right.
Okay, so insuring stuff in the UK, you don't insure the car. In America, you insure the car.
It's kind of you insure the combination of the driver on the car here.
You know, you're insured, but also the car is insured, so I can drive somebody else's car because the car has insurance and tags and all the rest of it. Over here, I can have the greatest insurance policy in the world on any given car that I want, but unless Chris also has an insurance policy that allows him to drive somebody else's car, or I've specifically added him to it, he can't legally drive my car.
Yeah.
That
So
being
our insurance
said,
winds up quite different.
Massively, yeah. Just the process by which it happens. Yeah, I have in fact just refreshed it, and it seems to be working now, which is nice. So yeah, we have now I've got chat coming up. So yes, hi Emmy, Aid, Aeropunks, which is obviously Kilmer, who I'm talking to already. Oh really?
I stole the network cable that's plugged into the print server to run this when I was at work earlier.
Grats.
So
oh well,
that ain't happening.
Well, I mean,
it probably wouldn't. It's like an hour and 20. It would probably.
Yeah, that'd probably get. I mean, if you want to duck out while I'm running through the finer points of UK versus USA insurance, which is a horrendously boring topic.
To be fair, it was more how much is it going to cost, not how does it work.
Yeah, so the car itself isn't too bad, but there are specialist insurers in the UK who deal with kit cars in particular. Specialists like import cars, muscle cars, young driver insurance, things like that. I am hopeful, very hopeful, that given my advanced age and my 15 plus years of driving no claims bonus with other cars and all the rest of it, and a pretty good driving history of only being involved in crashes that were other people's fault hitting me, I should be able to get this insured relatively limited policy for under £500, I hope. That said, I mean, the Thunderbird is currently insured, and it is, I think, almost the cheapest car I have ever insured. So the 390 Thunderbird is currently insured for something like £190 a year for full value, up to £10,000, replacement cost, anything like that, all good, for 190 quid. The cheapest one that I've ever had insured is actually the Golf, the Mark II Golf track car.
I owe you one IEC cable.
Yeah, good enough. The cheapest one that I've ever had insured was the Mark II Golf, which is a 1990 Mark II Golf with a 1994 or 1995 2.9 Corrado VR6, gearbox, suspension, running gear, you name it. The brakes are all Corrado. The whole running gear, front to back, is from a Mark III-ish Corrado era stuff. The rear brake beam was swapped over to discs, and that was £165 a year to insure on tracks. So any track in the UK was also covered, as long as it was an organised event through a club or something, which they basically all are. And I also added, also included in that was driving it through Europe for reasons to visit the places. Yes, that's the one. But yeah, for 165 quid, which was pretty good. And I did get it insured again, and it was a similar, I think it might have been a little bit more, 180, 200, just because I had an accident where somebody wrote off my car on my record recently. So yeah, all told, modified cars aren't that expensive in the UK to insure once you get old. If you're young, it's really, really bad.
Same with powerful cars.
Hi, Winged One.
Hi again.
Yes, yeah, Winged One's just joined us as well, which is nice. So we peaked at 12.
Resident Aero expert.
12 early on. This is good. So yeah,
Oh, that's a lot, Emmy.
it's yeah, 2300. Yeah, that's pretty savage.
I was 1,700 quid for my first year on the Mark One. Which, I'll be honest, I feel like is less okay than 23 on a Subaru.
Yeah, so my, what was it? What was it going to be? So I stupidly, at the height of when would it have been? 2010-ish, when the price, no, it would have been even before that. It must have been 2008, when the price of fuel skyrocketed, basically. And it was 149 basically 150 pence a litre over here, which, given the exchange rate at the time, a US gallon was the better part of about $9 to $9.50. And I told that to some Americans. They're like, no, you must have got that conversion wrong. No, genuinely, it was nearly $10 a gallon.
Yeah, our fuel is spendy.
It was horrendous. And I stupidly at that point bought a 4-litre V8 E34 BMW, fully tricked out. It was a dirt cheap car, which is why I bought it, and I loved every minute of having that car. And that was the most expensive car I ever insured. That was 1,200 quid. But I was also 25.
Yeah, you're old as hell. You've got cheat codes.
At that time I was 25. I had 6 years no claims bonus, and I just moved to a house with a garage.
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah, off drive, garaged, and they put the price up from £1,000 a year, and they wanted to put it to about £1,500 a year, and I argued the toss up until they went, well, my postcode is a better, because in the UK all postcodes, like area codes and things, are they're rated by how safe they are from A to G.
Just on a real quick one, by the way, for Kuma, who's new to chat, this is what Adrian does. You ask him a question, and you will get a lot of information.
I'm a font of useless information. It's fine, it's on video. You can go back and review it at his leisure.
Their leisure, but yeah.
So yeah, it's all good fun. But basically, the postcode I moved to was safer than the old one. It was its own postcode that had no claims on it at all, so it should have been safe. And they wanted to put my insurance up by nearly 50%, and I basically argued them down to 20% increase because I was midway through the policy and I was actively trying to accrue no claims bonus. I couldn't do anything. I had to just stick it out, and it sucked massively, and I hated it. But yeah, evening Jay. It's
Which J is this?
Jay Ballistic.
I don't know which J that is. You know, got people in chat whose names I don't recognise.
Well done.
Something's weird.
But yeah.
Is that name Ada recognised,
Yes.
or do we need to
I'm just
make
gonna
No,
search for fruit juice.
I think I've seen Jay Ballistic in chat before. But yeah, basically we had so the insurance in the UK, I'm hoping, as I say, it will the kit car, because it'll be a limited policy. It's not going to be on the road that much, so it'll be limited by mileage.
It'll be too horrible to drive much, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty low. It's going to be well under 500, I would hope. Most kit cars tend to come in under there, just because they're not driven very much, and the less they're driven, the less exposed to risk they are, and as a result, the better the pricing is, which it's all just a massive calculation, really, and an annoying one, and an expensive
It's all a bit
one
crystal
at that.
ball, really, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. It is
all
very
the way
much a
around.
bit crystal ball.
Does
So-
all the SVA improve that in any way?
Oh, you have to have the SVA. So
To go on the
you'll
road.
Yeah.
yes,
But
then
to-
it would
you
then
won't-
it
you
couldn't
won't
be
get-
insured.
Yeah,
there you go.
because I mean, technically
You
you can
could
get like
get-
track day insurance
yes.
and stuff, but that's just horrible, like ruinous.
And the track day insurance, for the most part, it's nice and cheap if you have a registered car with an MOT that they go, oh, one of those, cool, yeah, fine, well, it's got an MOT and
I've
it's
got to be
clean
honest.
through.
I've found every time I've looked for track day insurance, it's stupid money.
Oh, it's all
Absolutely
no,
stupid
don't get me
money.
wrong. It's still stupid money because of the risks involved, but that's it. If you have something that's not a road legal car that you're then trying to insure on the track to drive faster than road speeds in something that's essentially unverified, it becomes horrendous. Like multiply by 5, whatever your bad day is. But yeah. Oh wow, Jay's been following the car since we bought the chassis for the kit car. Like he's a day one, episode 1 man. Good work. So Abe's asking what the final weight is likely to be. I'm still hoping for around the 800 kilo mark or less.
I can't remember, what did we weigh the chassis at?
So we weighed the chassis.
Because our scales, what was it, a 300 kilo
Yeah.
scale?
So
and
I brought
we just maxed it.
Yeah,
if
so I
remember
brought
right.
a 300. I bought a 300 kilo scale. Now I weighed it on my bathroom scales, front end, rear end.
Back when it was light enough to do that,
To
isn't
see,
it?
oh, you can still do it now.
Oh, of course, yeah, one end at a time.
Yeah, one end at a time. You can. I can still essentially deadlift each end of the chassis, and I'm not a strong person. And it was. I estimated, based on a couple of calculators online, it was going to be about 240, 230-ish kilos, and I was wildly out by about 20%. No, 40% even. 40%?
Whatever.
30%, something like that. But basically, we put it on the scales and we brought it up and brought it up and brought it up really, really gently to the top. The scales maxed out at 300 with a little bit of overage on.
Yeah, and it was just
Yeah.
about holding the chassis
It was-
at that point. So
it
it's
was
like a
literally-
whisker over
if you
300.
if you lifted it a finger like that, you could bring it back down into the sort of 311 range on the scale. So I think with that was with the windscreen in, the wiring loom in, no suspension components, but all of the pedal box was in. The wiper motors
said the
were
word.
in. Ding. What else was in it? Pipework. So
Sorry,
we're
I'll go.
for,
So I'm only like
yeah,
half
no,
paying
it's-
attention
yeah,
because
fine.
I'm still.
So
CADing.
brake pipes, fuel lines, all that sort of service gubbins, basically, electrics, pipes, all that stuff. That was all in, and we figure it was between 310 because we measured it at 311 plus or minus. So between 310 and 320 ish.
This is just messing with me now.
So the man math on the power to the weight of the car.
So yeah, given that we're expecting it to weigh about a ton.
No, 800 kilos. So
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So 800 kilos
On 220 horsepower, give or take.
Yeah, so it's a 225 brake engine, so you're looking at 20% more to go
Yeah,
up
cool,
per
about
ton.
260,
No,
270
sorry,
per ton.
25. 25. If you divide both by 25, but divide both by 4, and you get 200 kilos.
I think
so then
I think it is 20%.
no, 20%. So then
Yeah.
multiply by 5. So it's 55 times 5 ish.
Yeah.
Which
250,
is,
260 odd.
275. So it's 275-ish. It's probably closer to 280 because of
Yeah.
decimals. But
the nice
yeah.
thing is, because it's a 20
If
VT, if
it's-
we find that lacking, it's really, really easy to get the number up. Like, we can go 300 horsepower easily, 400 horsepower with fairly minor work.
As Jay says, 220 brake, like it's going to stay like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically. I'm going to get it breathed on a little bit.
If you want a lighter chassis, sort of an old Dallara F3 for... Sorry, Dallara?
Yeah.
I just really... I don't know how I've always
Dallara
pronounced that.
F3,
yeah.
I think.
I've typed it more times
I would
than
say
I've ever said it.
Dallara, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, so the likelihood is it's going to get built up bog standard, absolutely stock at 225, and then from 225 it's just going to have a little breathing on that'll probably take it into the 260-ish mark, as I understand, and we don't need to touch anything at that point. Even the two little intercoolers, which were roughly the same size as with the A6 diesel ones, they're volumetrically about identical to the TT. It should actually they have a bigger cross-sectional area, so maybe they'll be better because they're not as deep. Either way,
I can't
One
remember
way
what
or
the
another,
maths
we've
is
got
on
a-
intercoolers.
we've got
I think
a
until this super deep, it's just
Yeah.
volume.
we have a
maths,
third
I think.
intercooler anyway,
Yeah.
so meh.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're good, well over 300 horsepower. The injectors are good, above 300. From what I recall, the turbo is also good, over 300. The big downside, the turbo will go up about that far from what I remember, but the rods definitely don't. It definitely wants to bend a rod and kick it out in the sort of 280, 290, 300 from what I remember. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's rods at 340.
I'm pretty
and
sure I
it's
remember being
turbo
the rods
at
that
300.
blow first.
Oh yeah, no, cheese rods is a thing, like Nick
Yeah.
and Spencel from decimal tenths will tell you that. But yeah,
Oh, speaking of, who all are we repping today?
right now,
Yeah.
DT.
So you've got decimal tenths.
Yeah,
What
and,
you're wearing? Okay, you're actually wearing.
I'm
our
actually
stuff,
I'm
which-
actually
yeah,
wearing
which
one of our t-shirts.
I'm
which-
not. I'm wearing some like generic Haynes
like-
knockoff sort of
yeah.
thing. Not too grand. Good people, good blogs, good classified site. Unfortunately,
Indeed.
a bit thin on traffic. Is actually classified still going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not too grand. The classifieds are still going.
classifieds
It's
are good.
just- yeah, there's good stuff on there.
And I also have much
Okay, yes.
One Hell of a Town on the back of the laptop. You should buy One Hell of a Town stuff because One Hell of a Town's 944 has just shit the bed on them. Something severe. Popped a timing belt.
Oh yes, I remember you saying
That's
yeah.
that's Sid with the 944.
So,
who
yeah,
has just been really going through the ringer.
Yeah. So, as Naki says, yeah, it's definitely going to be going up towards the sort of high 2s, low 3s in the future. There'll be some more boost going into it at some point, definitely. But that's an injectors, rods, problem to deal with later on. And I mean, if we're stripping the engine apart to put rods in, we could always put a 2-litre TFSI crank in.
Oh, are they all like same journal sizes and nice?
Bit more torque, just like bonk, drop in. It puts you, because that's what Nick Prawn has just done.
So is it bigger stroke? Is it beefier material or same
material? It's just longer stroke. So
okay.
Nick Prawn, if you have a look at Team Prawn Racing on YouTube, he's just rebuilt his motor. They've been competing in the what's the championship?
Pass.
They've been competing in a racing championship, and they were at, it wasn't Brands, Snetterton maybe, and everything broke. They weren't sure what it was, but basically get it up to temperature, get out on track, and then all of a sudden, water temperature would just start climbing off the chart. It would sit nicely, sort of 88, 90, 91, around there, thrash it round, get maybe 3/4 of a lap, absolutely rock steady, and then just go and go through the top of the scale to 120 plus.
Oof.
He took it all apart. Turns out it cracked the side of the block, and it was just it's like, oh, head gasket's fine. Looked inside the it's all bad. So he's just had a 2-litre TFSI crank put in and built up by Badger 5.
They're a good bunch.
Yeah,
I've only actually met them once. I went to a club GTI dyno day.
I was going to say I've met Bill repeatedly because he's been on the
Nürburgring
trips.
Yeah.
But
so I met them once. There was a club GTI dyno day that for some inexplicable reason, knowing that my Mark 1 doesn't have an engine in, I signed up for. And I said, guys, can I bring my Rover SD1 to your VW Golf dyno day? They were like, yeah, why not? Screw it, it's a good time, like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a club member and everything, so it's...
Yeah, precisely as Amy says, as soon as you strip the block, you go, I could just do this while I'm in there.
Yeah, it just becomes a while you're at it sort of thing, doesn't it? Yeah.
I'd like to get a year of driving it in before I pull like crank and rods and all the rest of it. I've got to learn how to drive it for a start, which is why I really want to start it at 225 and get a handle on it and how it handles, and we can try and dial out any massive handling problems we have, and then wind a little bit more power in and see what it does and kind of go through like that. But the long-term plan will probably be a 2-litre crank and a bigger turbo at some point. And we can just kind of keep turning the wick up and up and up, and as stupid as we feel at that point, really. So yeah, that's all good. Chris, how is the SD1?
How is the SD1? Who's asking?
Jay.
Not that it matters, because like it's doing fine anyway. So at the minute it's down in Wales with my parents, because I'm not sure. I'm guessing you've seen the episode where I slammed a new radiator into it so I could loan it to my brother. My brother borrowed it. He drove it around a little bit and immediately blew the engine up.
He didn't blow it up.
He
blew bits of it off.
Clouds of steam up the road. Like if you'd look at the car and you would swear that it had actually blown up.
Yeah, you would definitely think it had blown up from what happened, but it was actually largely fine.
Oh, it was mostly okay. Yeah, I think.
Just but a scrap.
But it was getting like
it was like a cylinder head or something that had gone
13 to the gallon or something stupid.
Oh no, that was after. That was a separate thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So no, it's never going to be time for a V8.
Never, Scott. Never.
There's stuff happening there, but not on that SD1.
Time for a V8.
So yeah, so I pulled the top end off. I've got that other engine that I got just over a year ago. I pulled the cylinder head off of that and swapped it on. But in swapping the head from the replacement engine on, I then swapped the cam carriers back. So I had my old engine's cam carrier and camshaft on the other engine's valve train and cylinder head on my old block. And the result was that all of the valve tolerances were off, because they're solid tappets, solid buckets even. There's no like hydraulic pumping up action to take up any tolerance. So it's in with some guys down there getting the shims done. Once that's done, it's going to a man with a big beard. Oh no, it's not anymore. It turns out, my old college lecturer, the guy who used to teach me motorsport engineering.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Lou Edwards, the guy who.
You better subscribe to the channel.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, he described. I flunked my motorsport course, just in case anyone was wondering, because that's kind of what I did when I was that age. He said to my dad after that my heart was apparently never in it. I'm like, oh, that's a bit harsh. That wasn't really true. My heart was in it. I was just a lazy piece of shit. But that was, that reflected everything. It's the ADHD, I swear. But In any case, so yeah, it turns out my old college motorsport lecturer works at the particular shop that I was hoping to get the car dropped off at. So they got it all booked in and everything, and yeah, it's going to be going around there hopefully next week. It's all pending Bruno actually bothering finishing the valves.
Yes.
Bruno is our engine man. He is. I'm pretty sure like whatever page urgency is on in his dictionary, he's just been missing for like ever. Although I have to hand it to him, when we said to him that my cylinder head had exploded and I needed the replacement one done, he goes, "I'm not sure if I can rebuild an engine by next week, but I'll give it a punt." We're like, no, just the head. Just the head's fine.
Just the head.
So that was, but like to be fair to him, yeah, if you poke him enough, he'll get stuff done quick.
Yeah, when he knows when he knows there's an actual crisis level deadline.
Yeah. So that's on its way. The valves, the cams and valves nearly done. It's about to go in, like once that's finished, it then goes over to Crow Hill, who's going to sort out the carburetors because they're horribly out of tune. Me and my brother tried to set them up. The problem was that the booster was leaking at a massive vacuum leak. Like, I'm pretty sure in the episode where I replaced the master cylinder, we mentioned at the end of the video there's a big hiss coming from the booster. Like, no, we did mention it because it was mentioned in the comments. Turbo is still on the cards. Yeah, it's just like inching towards it slowly.
Needs the engine rebuilt, which needs the other things.
It's not really that. I need to put the big brakes on. Actually, is the big one now.
Okay.
I need to fix the radiator fan, put the big brakes on, and then it's more or less good to go.
We should do the brakes over the summer, whilst the summer is. And the
Although to be fair, the
here.
brakes I'm still waiting on the calipers getting aqua blasted, and the guy who does those has just buggered off to work on the rigs for 2 weeks, so they're not going to happen. Immediately. Yeah. But yeah, the Rover is like making progress slowly. It's been out of my hands for a while. It's not really. It was never really in a state to drive it back here to our base in Reading. So I've basically just been, hey guys, Mum, Dad, Sam, can you all just sort of like chip away at it?
Yeah.
I've been sort of sending parts down here and there and everything.
Do the things.
Yeah. But yeah.
But it's still going.
It's getting there. It's almost done.
The turbo is very much still happening. It's just.
I don't think I've actually shown anyone I've got a turbo manifold for it now.
It's the same as the VR. Like rebuilding the VR in the Golf.
Yeah.
It's the number of things that have to happen for that. It's not just I need a crank and I need rods, both of which have been sourced, which is great. But I then need enough space to take the engine out, which probably then means I'm going to do a few other bits and take some more stuff off. So the engine crane has to be free, which it hasn't been for the last. Well, it's been free for the last month or so, but 6 months before that, when the engine blew up, it wasn't. It was in use, basically lifting it in and out of the kit car.
Yeah.
So that wasn't any use. So I needed the space for that. I had to clear out a bunch of parts from the Thunderbird to put that back together, which has kind of been shuffled. And
it's all just
yak
shaving, isn't it? It's like before I can do this, I've got
it. It's just as Chris, it's just a massive yak shaving. It's like, oh well, we'll put the kit car back together. We'll put the kit car back together, and then before we can put this bit back together, we really should do this, and before we do that, we should do this, and if we're going to do that, well, we should probably do this.
We get carried away with that sort of thing like a lot. I'm not sure if I'd say it's a problem because like it's at the end of the day, it's all stuff that has to get done.
Yeah,
but it does mean we'll say something like we want the engine running by the end of this year, so we end up building a body shell, or at the very least a skeleton. Therefore, because in our heads we go, okay, well if we're going to run the engine, we need the wiring done, and to do the wiring, we need to know where the wiring is going to run, and if we're going to know where the wiring is going to run, we've got to know what shape the body is, so we know where all the stuff's going to get plumbed onto. And before we know, we've got like most of a body. And the engine still hasn't actually fired.
And we need to know where all the accessories are going to be going that we need to plug into, so we're going to make brackets to hold them, as you saw
it's just like
2 weeks ago.
We have like one very definite goal, but it just takes ages to get there because of all the other stuff that goes along with.
Yeah, as you say, Jay, you're absolutely right. Time is, in fact, the most valuable commodity, and I don't have enough of it. I am time poor.
Yeah. The irony is you're time poor. I have a full-time job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it's coming along reasonably well. The way the body, I've been putting off doing a lot of bodywork stuff to it, and I really shouldn't have been. I should have actually got my finger out and done a lot of bodywork stuff sooner. And I just didn't. I didn't think my welding was good enough. As it turns out, my welding seems to be passable enough to make it work, which I will take. So
take the wins where you can get them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all coming along. The next big one that's going to be looked at this weekend is the actual roof line over the top of the car, which is going to be cool. I've been building up a rough frame outline, and that rough kind of, if I just clag these bits of scrap together here and here and here, it'll give me an idea. and then I replace bits of the scrap with better material to sort of flesh something
it's a
else
very
out.
incremental process, isn't it?
Yeah, and
sort
this
of slowly forming this thing out.
yeah,
of...
this whole kind of exo roof hoop, because it's obviously not the cage hoop, but it is what the bodywork for the roof will attach to. So this thing has just kind of crept along and crept along and crept along, and all of a sudden I have no video whatsoever of me building up this tubular steel section which sits across the top of the roll hoop and above the engine on the back and holds everything in. So that will be going on this weekend, because that's another thing that is currently massively in the way of getting the engine out of the Golf, because it's this big, it spans the engine, in front to back. But with that on, we can then put some more bodywork on as well. So it might actually turn out that the next episode is just a lot of bodywork and maybe a little bit of wiring at the front end, tidying up the wires that go forward out of the dashboard, because we've still got to put obviously the wipers are all in, but we still have to wire them up and make them work. And one of the other things I suddenly realised, writing out the big old list of stuff, was that we hadn't plumbed in the washer bottle. We hadn't sighted the washer bottle anywhere. We hadn't thought about where we're going to route anything to. Hinges for the washer jets, because we have to have washer jets because we've got a windscreen. So yeah, all of these little things kind of hit me, and I went, I should probably get on that. So the washer jets is kind of not a difficult one to work out, because they're just going to go on the underside of the bonnet, pointing forward. The bonnet will just lift. Like that's nice and simple.
I really appreciate why most of these sorts of cars are open wheel with no windscreen.
Yes.
Absolutely seeing why they're all like that. You go, it doesn't seem like it should be that much work to put a windscreen on.
Yeah.
It just knocks on to.
Yeah. Read the SVA manual, like the SVA handbook.
Don't. It's horrible.
Don't. And then look at a kit car and go, oh, you've got to have that. Oh, no, you don't. Oh, you need to follow these. Oh, no, you don't. And you get away with so much by just not having a windscreen, not having lots of things. Like a little deflector screen doesn't necessarily count as a windscreen, which is a really interesting.
Roof.
I've thought about a fiberglass roof, and I think what I've settled on is an aluminium one for the time being. But I'm not 100% set on that yet. But yeah,
leave the windscreen out and just wear a skid. I was trying to torquade out of a windscreen at day one. It's not happening. Yeah, don't even try. Don't bother.
Yeah, I mean, so I thought about that, but honestly, I hate wearing a helmet at the best of times because glasses. So taking them on and off is always.
You got to do it properly. You got to get big aviator goggles with the big furry ear flaps. And stuff.
And I'm too tall for anything else, so even if there was a standard windscreen, I'd still get hit in the face. So it's either full or nothing, and nothing's not an option.
I was just about to show you the big moment, but I'm not actually connected to the network, so I can't actually make it.
Yeah,
happen.
you probably want to do that. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it lowers the weight down, which is why I'm sort of thinking aluminium. I have started to replace some parts with aluminium, well, not replace, but I've started to sub in aluminium for various parts, like the inner wheel arches on the back were never going to be steel, admittedly, but they were always going to be aluminium or like a Corex sheet, and I decided aluminium was a little bit easier for the rears. The fronts are almost certainly going to be like a Corex. Corex,
sorry, I zoned out from
inner wheel arches at the front. So Corex is like a very thin, probably 3 or 4 millimeter plastic sheeting, and it's used for protective flooring. So if you've got builders in, you put it down, you walk over it, it doesn't scuff up.
It's like the
floors.
cardboard of plastic.
Basically that,
right, yeah.
It's corrugated plastic. It's corrugated plastic card, but you can roll it, fold it, cut it, all the rest. So we can put that in with some brackets and then pop rivet it in. Is this the moment of truth?
It's the moment of truth. Well, it's not. The moment of truth is in an hour and 20 when the 3D print finishes.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So we'll come on and
but that's the start of
chat about that in a minute. But yes, so that's... So the roof top section, because it's going to blend into the rest of the body, that's all going to have to be steel around that bit. But that's not actually very much. It's only, I think I worked it out, it's about half a square metre of steel, which isn't too bad. The actual clamshell that's going to go over the engine bay, I've worked out how big I can make that, and I can get it out of a single sheet of aluminium. So I can make a framework and then wrap the aluminium over that and then attach it all on, and then we can have a nice big lightweight aluminium boot cum bonnet lid over the engine bay itself, which would be really, really good.
Jay used the magic word.
Mm,
He said just.
just.
Can we not just
Oh.
adapt the liners at the TT? We did actually think about it, and I
Yes.
can't remember why we didn't. If I remember right, it's because we've got double wishbone on the front,
Correct.
and there is no provision for that in the liners.
Not
And I
even
suppose, like, if you tried, you could hack holes in them, but then you've still got to find a nice way to support them. And
You have to deal with a hole in the top where the
oh, of
first
course, where the
strut
strut
comes
would have gone
so you
through.
still
Oh
have-
no, that was it. They were too tall because they went right up into the.
Oh no, you could still fit the liners to it potentially. I mean, when we do it, I'm going to basically put the liner up
Offer them up and see
from
what
it
happens.
and sort of look at it and go, well, this is the problem. If it turns out that it fits, it's been a long time since I held them up. The ones on the rear definitely didn't. The ones on the rear were moulded all the way up to accommodate the whole shock tower going up through the back.
Yeah,
so they
our
would
rear
just never
suspension is
work.
so different from factory that wasn't going to be
It
it.
was just
That
never
could
gonna
never
work.
happen.
The fronts-
I'm sure we wrote the fronts off for some reason.
Yeah,
I
but
just
I
can't remember
can't-
what it was. So it's
yeah.
probably worth rechecking. We might have got lucky.
I have
and fix our
changed
problem.
some of the front end alignment
Yeah.
anyway, but there's a couple of bits that are going to be aluminium panels. There's a couple of bits that are going to be this kind of Corex to wrap in underneath the arches, mainly across the very top, where it's a very thin and very complex shape to do a curve and go around. So I'm just going to put Corex in and then pop rivet it with some little brackets, sort of sandwiching it to the body, not the bodywork, to the framework, and do it that way. So that'll speed up the whole front end construction massively. But we can't put that in because it's plastic until we've done all of the bodywork, because otherwise we'd just melt it. So yeah, that's
Winged one, like raising points that I've actually forgotten about.
Yeah.
Of course, our front arches are cut away at the lower
Yes.
rear corners. So yeah, the plastic would at the very least
Well,
be
it's-
modifying, but it might still.
I mean, at the front we've got the steel plates in.
Yeah.
For like.
But it's more the, like
splashes
where
and-
where the wheel arches normally come down there. We've sort of like
Yeah.
cut
But
the corners
we
up.
could
You can cut
feasibly
the
use them
bottoms
to the
off
top.
the
Yeah,
plastic.
they can be modified, but yeah. I did in fact send the link, so yes, that's good. And we've got Mintopia in as well. Good
Hello.
evening. So yes, it's coming along pretty well. It's just sort of
Yeah.
jumping through each section as we kind of move on and move
Yeah.
on. But the bodywork has been a massive stumbling block in kind of confidence on my part.
I think on both
working
of us,
out.
because like me not knowing what it was going to be like, I couldn't really contribute.
Yeah, you couldn't really suggest until I said, well, I'm thinking about kind of doing this. You'd be like, have you thought about this instead? Yes,
Yeah.
I have, but there is a reason, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and F, reasons why this doesn't work down the line that I can't articulate or draw. 'cause
Yeah,
they're
this is the
not
thing,
good enough.
because obviously you have in mind like roughly what you expect the body
Yeah.
to look like. You've been able to think about what that implies.
And I have.
So on the rear,
for many
on-
hours on the road going,
Yeah. So on the rare occasion that something manages to make it out of his brain into mine,
it's half the
all of-
story at best.
it's half the story, but also then anything I think of what you've said
Yeah.
is invariably stuff that you've already covered. And I got to be honest, it's quite frustrating, but
Oh,
there's
yeah,
really nothing to be
100%,
done
yeah.
about it. So
It's half the
It's
story
what it
with
is.
none of the research.
Yeah.
It's the worst
yeah,
thesis.
I get to see like a broken, malformed version of your conclusions and none of the decision-making process that led to them.
Yeah.
And yet somehow we're still doing not too bad for the most part.
It's actually not. It could be an awful lot worse, realistically. So yeah, so that's how that's coming along. But yeah, I've
And
basically.
good evening to Henson Cars.
I've,
see you again.
We've got Henson in.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yes. Good evening. So yeah, we've got. I have committed to basically putting on a panel, or rather a set of panels, like left and right, every single episode. So the next one that's coming up is all of the inner arches on the rear, which is actually what, 1, 2,
I think that's about
3.
depends how you
4,
count it. All
five
the,
different
the
panels.
static
Yeah,
bits.
5 different panels. Some of which had to be removable, so you can get into service items like
Yeah.
getting the intercooler out, because the only way to get the intercooler and pipework out from the pod is going to be through the arch. Unfortunately, I've committed a cardinal sin, and I've made it so the only way you can change the rear light cluster bulbs is through the arch. So you have to take the wheel off to change a bulb, and I'm not.
However, we
I'm
swap
not
them all to
happy.
LEDs and it's fine.
Yeah, I'm not happy, but basically it's going to go LED, and that's going to solve my
Yeah.
problem for me. So yeah, that's coming
else
up.
have we
As I
got?
say, we've got the exhaust in this weekend's episode. Although there's one more bit to do, and then we can get that all mocked up, and that'll be 3 weeks from now. We'll do a quick wrap up, and then that will hopefully have been all welded up, assuming that my tame TIG welder
Jay-
has time down at Ignition.
Jay Ballistic earlier was asking
Yeah.
time for a V8. There is going to be an announcement
in
video.
in the SD1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've already mentioned it in the past. There's the twin plenum that I need to fix up, but now that I'm going to live with my parents again in a couple of weeks' time, I'm actually going to be in the same county as the twin plenum V8 Vitesse.
Which, let's be honest, is very convenient when you're trying to work on something.
Yeah,
Being
the
in the
fact
same county.
Yeah, the fact that we also have a unit and we also have
Yeah.
all of the other parts and tools for the Rovers around, and my dad, who's had them since basically he was my age.
Yeah.
Anyone who watched my family history of SD1's episode will have seen a picture of basically me with an infant on my lap.
Yes.
But in what looks like a really old photo. It's because my dad, and I just unfortunately look that much like him. So yeah, he's also really handy to have.
The tricky
all the
part
stuff.
with that is
Yeah.
you're going to be directing, filming, and voicing as you go along and trying to work that out. Whereas I'm normally the one doing the directing and going, right, no, I know the narrative that's going through here.
I think it's going to wind up
this,
like
this.
my episode on the engine dismantling
Yeah.
from last year, where I do a little bit of like selfie video, and then I just sort of stick the camera up somewhere on the side of the room and just have at it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the V8's a bit more than I can just do in one day, like I did that engine teardown. But
Yeah, as
be
Jay
roughly the
says,
idea.
it's crazy money if you want something that's not a box of rot.
oh, they're silly, absolutely silly.
If you do want a box of rot, they are 10 a penny. Although
Even that, they're not that cheap.
then they're still not, actually, yeah, I suppose they're more 10 a quid.
Like mine was $2.5 grand, and as much as it looked nice in all the right places, it was a really nice
It was a
car
good
from all
car,
distance.
but it had some
It was
hidden-
covering a lot of
Yeah.
mess. There was a lot of mank underneath, which is why it's just had nearly $6 of bodywork done. So yeah.
Yeah,
It turns out
that's-
you don't get a lot of SD1 for $2.5 grand anymore, which is really sad because we used to have a 2 litre that we got on eBay for £10.50.
That's savage.
Times have changed.
Yeah,
Which
just a
actually,
bit.
sorry, just on the subject of like old car prices, Kuma asked way back. How do we feel about the rising prices of import cars, which obviously Nanaki touched on briefly? I actually have no opinion. I don't really do JDM.
I was going to say,
I share like second-hand sorrow from all my JDM friends, but personally, I don't have a horse in that race.
yeah, I similarly don't have a horse in that race either, but there are a couple of things that I want. However, the things that I want are all really weird, esoteric things.
To be fair, they're going up in price as well.
Yeah, it's mostly things like the AutoZam F40.
Oh yes, I'd love an AutoZam.
Really want
an AutoZam anything really.
An AutoZam F40, that would be like pinnacle, and they're something like 12 grand, which you think for like a 2/3 of a litre 3-cylinder 2-seater.
You're not buying a lot of
shoebox on
car
wheel.
for that much, are you?
You're not, but the F40 one is very good.
Yeah, you're buying a lot of cred, but you're not buying a lot of machinery, which is fine. I think.
Yeah.
Like that's an okay trade to
Yeah,
make.
I think the weird one, the thing that's really driving the import prices is the availability in America now, because people are now able to import things to America
anything
in
that's
the
just
post
turned 25 years old, yeah.
And you have what's happening with the Supras. You know, Mark IV Supra, $150,000. You want an R34, $200,000, and all of this stuff is just like ticking up and up and up, and it's really painful.
Yeah,
but because
the fact that America, like, there's all this pent up demand from 25 years of basically hype for a lot of these older cars. Like it's basically now mid 90s. With Japan, mid 90s.
Yeah.
That was their peak.
Yeah.
And all that stuff is now able to go to America. And all that demand they have over there. And it's not just demand from enthusiasts, it's demand from the I want to buy a car as an investment dickheads.
Yeah, it's the collectors, it's the museums as well, who are saying, hey, if somebody can buy us one of these, we'll store it and look after it for you. And then the collectors go, yes, and I can do that. And I'm sure some of them do drive them as well, but they're still contributing towards a massive uptick in prices, because there's not just the UK and Europe who's going, oh, we could buy one of those. Now the Americans are like, no, we need to buy because we have none.
I can't remember.
And they're just throwing money at the problem.
He's mentioning the FD2 Civic, but I can't remember which one the FD2 is. I'm not actually good at Civics.
Prior to the EP3? Or was the FD2 like the
Not
really,
sure.
really
I'm just
early
Googling
one?
it.
Like La
Oh,
Fonda?
it's a
it
lot
La
newer
Fonda?
than that. It's the first of the spaceship-looking ones,
Oh!
or spaceship-ish.
Okay. I suppose, yeah, FD would be after EP, now I think logically about it.
Yeah, assuming it does.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I actually I know very, very little about Japanese.
Yeah, as Jay
cars
says, like
in general.
S13 has gone massively up in value. just because they exist. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, there's more demand, therefore prices get. It's the same as anything, supply and demand.
His wife has an S2000.
That's a good.
That's a
one
good
to have.
couple's garage there.
A friend of mine's other half also had an S2000 for quite some time, and they are absolute lunacy. Particularly if you put a supercharger on, that's just asking for trouble. Fun trouble. You'll love it, but you'll also love a tree sideways at speed.
Yeah. Oddly enough, that's a guy I used to live with, a guy called Kurt. His dad used to have an S2000. I say used to.
Did it meet a
because
tree?
it entered into aggressive negotiations with a tree.
And everyone was sad.
The tree won.
The tree, they typically do.
Well, no. Arguably, the tree lost less.
You've got to. I mean, you've really got to go very young trees to win with a car.
Or quite small, or hit them with a Volvo like my brother did. Remove the tree from the ground.
I mean, the Volvo didn't.
The
it was
Volvo
more,
did not win, but the Volvo went down fighting.
It might have
Volvo
been
took the tree
a
out.
no-score draw,
Yes.
but that's about your lot.
No one won that engagement.
Yeah.
I got to say, actually, fair play to that S40. Dragged it off the tree, and
And
the
it
whole front
started.
end of it was stove in, and it started up, and it still drove. Like it was the tracking was a bit off.
Oh no!
And aluminium engine with no water in it, didn't enjoy it very much. It was it was already written off. What are you gonna do?
But yeah, so that's kind of where that lot's up to. As I said earlier on, Thunderbird is coming along fairly well at this point. There are more parts to go on. We've got suspension drop links to do next, which will might be part of this weekend, because the sun basically moves around. It hits the two cars at different points in the day. So early in the morning, the Thunderbird is just bathed in sun, and it's horrendous. You can't, if you're underneath the car and you go, I'll just pull myself out and grab the bodywork, you leave behind your fingerprints. But yeah, if you once the sun goes round the back and the shadow hits it, give it half an hour, and it's actually comfortable to work on. So that's more of an evening thing, and the kit cars are daytime where the sun is just baking down over the top.
Why don't we just point the cold air vents of our aircon units outside?
Nice. Yeah, we'd have to run them pretty hard, but yeah, that could work.
Bit of global cooling, we'll put all the heat in the house.
Yeah, we just need to move the heat outside the environment. That's it. That's perfect. Put it in the greenhouse and then warm faster. Yeah, it'd be ideal. Doesn't need to warm any faster. It's horrendous in there already.
That tends to happen with Volvos, Jay. I've seen more than a few videos of people rear-ending Volvos.
Yes.
And you see a little bit of video, and it always starts, the YouTube video always starts with looking at the front of the destroyed front of the other car, and it slowly pans around to an untouched Volvo.
Well, look at the. I can't remember if I've ever shown. I know I haven't shared it on the channel, but I've got pictures of when my Passat was written off, and it's a 2006 era VW Passat estate. And a Corsa went into the back of it at 50 mile an hour. No brakes, nothing. I was stopped behind somebody else and they just punched into the back of me. And the bonnet is folded in half. The engine is all the way up in the dashboard, all the way through. I mean, the front of the car has absolutely done its job at protecting the driver in the other car, but it is mashed. On the Passat, you look at it and there's a couple of cracks in the bumper, and one of the light clusters has gone. And that's and the exhaust was bent. Underneath, it was a write-off. The chassis was bent.
I'm guessing the whole back of the car was just subtly pushed in a little.
No, not as badly as the A6 even. But the wheel well in the back had gone and crushed in around the tyre, so you couldn't pull the tyre out ananymore.
Yeah, sorry,
the tyre had gone
kind
up
of
some
what I
and
was
kind
thinking,
of
the
pushed
back
the
end
floor, and it had all just kind of tweaked around some when it had hit. So it drove perfectly fine. It was just completely compromised by a wrecking shot. And then the A6 even. The A6 looked reasonably good.
Oh, the
but
A6, man.
But it had peeled the chassis panels apart down inside the inner wheel. You could open the boot and look down to the inside of the rear tyre.
Yeah, because
through a gap about
it
half
pulled
an
the
inch.
suspension turret apart, hadn't it? Where the suspension turret distorted to absorb the impact. Yeah, it just peeled it open.
Yeah, it opened the turret up on the driver's side.
Yeah.
by an inch.
I was about to say like a can opener, but actually, to be fair, that's kind of giving it that's kind of
Yeah.
harsh on it because like it was a hell of an impact. It's
Yeah.
not like it folded up like paper. Like
Yeah.
it took a proper
It
hammering.
still absolutely looked like an A6 that had a damaged exhaust and a cracked bumper. And if you looked across the roof, you could see where the roof had rippled slightly. And if you went to the other side of the car, all the way to the passenger side front corner, you could see where the bonnet had moved across about 1/4 of an inch because the panel gaps were off.
Yeah.
Which, great, it transferred the force all the way through the chassis. It did exactly what it was meant to do, to dissipate energy. But at the same time,
Oof.
yeah, like it really did a number. That was another 50-mile-an-hour hit into the back, no brakes, nothing. So
I do love these smart motorways with their
Well, I mean,
always on hard shoulders.
to be fair, it wasn't even a smart motorway technically.
Wasn't it? I thought it was.
Well, they were building a smart motorway, but it was in the roadworks of the M3 and the M4
Oh, I
both
can't even
times.
blame the smart motorway then.
No,
Raging.
no, but it was the same situation you would have on a smart motorway.
I've run out of
effectively.
fruit
Would it
juice.
have been better if you'd been doing the speed limit? Because you should have been going at 50.
No, he was doing 50
Oh, was he?
minimum. Yeah,
Oh.
definitely. So yeah,
Yeah, given that it folded up an MX-5 and sent
yes,
the MX-5
yeah,
into the
because
A6
this was the
hard
other
enough.
thing. This the car came along behind.
It was like a Newton's
So
cradle, but with
I
cars.
was I was parked here. My friend's MX-5 was here as first gen.
Your hands aren't
MX-5.
very visible on that, I'll be honest
yeah,
with
they're
you.
not actually. To be fair, can you throw on top cam a sec? And I'll
Do you want a dry white marker? Just draw it on the
could
worktop.
actually, yeah. That'd be fine. So yeah, so my car was parked. My car was parked in front. Yes, thank you. Can I have production duck as well? Chris, production duck is. is
Oh, I
just
see him.
there.
I see him. He's a very smart-looking duck.
Yeah. So yeah. And I've got phone. It's fine. So this was my car, and I was parked probably 50 odd yards ahead of my friend's car who'd broken down. I'd gone to basically see if it was repairable, and if not, get her off the carriageway. And the guy basically came along, veered into the hard shoulder, which was an active lane, touched the barrier, went across into that, knocked it sideways, and sent her car into the back of mine.
Hard enough to fold the back
Which,
of it up.
considering
like that,
it was in gear and had the handbrake on, I got punted forwards into the guardrail about another 10 feet as well. So it was quite the impact. Flip them back over.
It was a pretty beefy hit.
But her MX-5 right
Probably
at
the
the
pig
bottom of the
supposed to be
door.
the MX-5. I don't know. The duck looks more like a friend.
Yeah, this is fat like an estate car.
Yeah.
But if you imagine that this is the front and this is where the door is, so the door would open out. It popped both doors open, and where the rear pillar is here for the door, popped the door open and it shortened it 14 inches between the back corner of the door and where it would normally fit into. So it just went. Fortunately, neither of us were in the cars at the time. Otherwise, it would have been way.
You did have to
way
do like a
worse.
ninja roll off of the Armco though, because you were sat on the Armco
Yeah,
and
I
you saw this coming like.
I was
whoop.
climbing over the Armco. I had
Yeah.
a massive torch in my hand. I was literally flagging people down and flicking the torch at them to make sure that they weren't going to run into the back of us, because 4 or 5 people nearly did. People were swerving at the last minute because they're just not paying attention. Small rant.
Just
Welcome
breathing my
to
tea.
Adrian rants about stuff. While Chris dies from trying to inhale a liquid.
Don't do that.
Point about the pop-up headlights. 'Cause it was,
it was a Gen 1 pop-up headlight
Yeah.
dealie, so
On the other hand, though, the MX-5 is shaped like a friend, and which of these is more friend-shaped?
yeah, and the ass of an A6 is very much more like that.
Yeah, A6
I
has got dump
maintain,
truck ass
yeah,
like the
yeah.
pig, yeah.
Yeah, should be in a Pixar film. So yeah, they were coming down, and I had this torch, and I was flicking it and flicking it and flicking it, and I saw him veer left across the lane, and basically there's the old hard shoulder, and then a little trough for all of the water, and then the Armco, and basically he veered all the way off. His left wheel hit that, and as he hit into the little trough, that kind of straightened him up and took him along, and that was when he went, "Ugh!" and tried to turn
to get
away.
out of the lane, yeah.
And somewhere along that, with about 20-30 feet to go, I was climbing over the Armco, flashing. I was like, "Oh, I'll just wait for him to. He's not. No, this is all going to go wrong," and just threw myself down the embankment backwards, and I screwed my shoulder and spine for about 18 months.
And getting hit.
Much better than getting hit, because he'd have taken me at my knees and just ragdolled me down the M4, which really would have sucked. So I'll have to get some. I'll find the pictures and we'll
Yeah,
put them up and discuss them.
There's some
maybe-
things that are
maybe
really,
next
really,
week.
really funny when they happen in Grand Theft Auto.
Yes, yeah,
But-
ragdoll physics. I totally understand how they are a thing.
Yeah. Honestly, sometimes I swear, right, you should be made to pass some kind of test before you're allowed to drive a car. Like, it's just,
Weird,
it's just
isn't it?
unbelievable the standard of driving some people.
Yeah. But yeah, so the Thunderbird. Getting back on track.
Yes.
The Thunderbird is
Eventually.
coming along. There are more parts to install, and the next big thing to do on that is actually paintwork. We've rubbed back and we've primed loads and loads of the bodywork parts, so we need to do the undervalance underneath the bumper and get all that painted back blue again, at least sort of one colour of blue. Get that part on, get the radiator back in, lovely shiny radiator as it is now. Get that back in, replumb the engine. We need to take the cam covers off and have a look inside, make sure they aren't full of water. Well, the pistons, the bores aren't full of water from where it's got in, potentially through the carb and the intake, so we need to get through that.
To be fair, it hasn't turned, so not much should have been able to get into any
No.
of the bores through the carb.
No.
Like,
But-
even if you just put a hose in, like, but...
Yes. Yeah, but
Plugs out.
I mean, well, it'd be 6.4 litres realistically across all
Yeah.
bores, and then you got some. So yeah, so we need to get through that. Maybe dunk a little bit of ATF in the bores to clean them out if we absolutely have to. But
It's,
not going to
usually,
be.
it's usually a safe, good thing to do to begin with. Just
It's been under a cover its entire life that it's been here, but we've just had some really blowy weather where things have got through. Things have got through under the kit car, and
To be
that's
honest,
been a
the-
tied down cover.
The best reason to have any of it apart, really, I think, is all the metal shavings that will have been thrown around.
Just in case there's
Yeah.
anything in there, we
Yeah.
can just flush them out, get them all sorted, get them through, check the bores, check the plugs,
Yeah.
put it all back together, rerun the wiring, radiator on, fill it with coolant, and then keep the leads off and turn it over with the plugs out, and see if anything does come out again there. And we can also use that to prime it with oil. We can check the oil over, make sure that's all good, because I actually don't know if it arrived with oil in. I've never looked in the sump.
There's
I expect it
potential
probably
nastiness
did.
if it's been dry.
I expect it probably did, because Ian had it running and he said the engine was basically ready to go. So I have no doubt that it was, but realistically, the oil's been sat for 2 years at this point that I know of, so it's probably worthwhile just dump it out,
Yeah.
put some fresh in, crank it round and see what it does.
I remain
Get it
surprised we
over.
haven't run the engine yet. Not even, with fuel in the carb.
Yeah, I mean,
It seems like something that we, both of us, we've watched enough
I've been-
roadkill that it should have been the first thing we wanted to do.
Yeah.
The first thing we did.
I've
even.
been sat and I've basically been like, no, because if I do that, I'll just be like, yeah, put it on the road, make it work, woo! And actually, there's so many things I needed to
Yeah.
do, like the fuel tank, like the lines, like this, that, and the other. So yeah, I've basically been holding out for myself to not do it, just for that. We need Stratland with the ducks.
Duckby.
Duckby, yeah, we need Duckby to
So
furnish
you're
us.
gonna go on full on James Beach and
That's the one I was trying to remember
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
Naki mentioned it in chat just now with 10 ducks, 100 ducks.
Rubber ducks need to be used for all
because I went to
forensic
James
people.
Acaster, and
Always.
no, it's not James
It's not
Acaster
a-
because
not
I hate
Acaster.
James Acaster, which I realise is harsh. He's quite funny. I just can't stand him for some reason.
it's like AIDS
Weird
friend
hill to die on.
with Katie Tunstall.
It's like my friend
Yeah.
who absolutely can't stand Katie Tunstall. Doesn't mind her music, doesn't mind her voice, doesn't
Yeah.
mind the way she just doesn't know what it is, but just absolutely hates her for no valid reason. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? If you
As long as
have,
you don't act on it.
as long as if you can just be like, don't like it, that's good enough. If it's
Yeah.
completely unwarranted for whatever reason, if you can go, I don't know why, and that's it. Carry on.
There's a lot of YouTubers who just have nasal voices that annoy me. I'm like, no, just
Yeah.
not watching it. Nothing against them as a person,
Yeah,
which is
and-
really annoying when it's like actually good informative content.
Yeah.
Because I have engineer brain,
It's
which
not-
means I love watching not so much documentary type stuff, but anything sort of dry and boring and informative.
Yeah. Like
And-
this.
Yeah, like this. And yeah, it's really, really annoying when I see a channel that's doing genuinely amazing informative stuff. It's very information dense. It's all this stuff that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And the person, their voice is just a little sort of like that. Well, no, not high, not like they're on helium, but
There's
that
a-
nasal tone that I can't
there are
reproduce.
definitely
And it's
some-
just like, yeah, oh no.
There are definitely some inflections and
Yeah.
delivery and sort of the
Who's-
way people's voices lilt sometimes that I
Who's
just. it takes
your
me a
man
lot
who
to
does
get
a
into.
1,000 different channels? The voice, not
Mr.
voiceover
Whistler.
guy, but
Simon
yeah,
Whistler,
Simon
yeah.
Whistler. Can't stand him. And I again don't know why.
Yeah, good topics, good
Yeah.
information. It's not bad, but
He grew on aid though. It took him a while.
ducks for the duck throne. Yes, to be fair, Whistler took a
Ronald's
long
made it.
time.
Mr. Reagan, America's best ever president, has made it in time for another stream. Just in time for us to talk about lots of ducks and
He's-
which YouTubers I hate.
Yeah, he's finally trickled down into the stream. Is,
Yeah.
what, is what we're saying. But yeah, exactly, man. It took me a long time. I couldn't just watch it for the sake of it. I had to find a video with a topic that I really
I'm-
really wanted to watch. And then, yeah, there you go.
I love the solidarity in
Yeah.
chat right now.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Like, it's still not that I like him, it's that I've got used to him and I find it interesting and I can
Yeah.
tolerate it for the level of interesting.
I
I don't know what it
He's
is.
also relaxed a little bit into it now that he's kind of created his YouTube dominion.
Yes, to be fair, the first 2 channels that he did, which were Biographics and Geographics, were really... they were very forced... received pronunciation kind of accent, and I just couldn't deal with it. He does some other channels where he just talks, and they're way, way better than
Yeah.
those ones to just
So
listen to.
I've got a YouTuber like that, one that I really, really like, but they're just grating enough that I can't watch a lot of them. It's Joe Scott, or Answers with Joe.
My hatred,
Brilliant channel.
my
Yeah.
hatred of Linus is almost
It
legendary.
actually is legendary. So actually right. Okay, so this is I'm doing the Q and you're doing the A now. We're just flipping the rest of it on its head for a minute. Is that entirely because Landcash, or is Linus like actually a prick? Like I know Landcash is a big part of the problem, and like what he did with popularizing it is a big part.
To
of
be
the
fair,
problem, but-
I don't like Linus because of a bunch of things that he did around sort of camera stuff and various other bits. I was just like, you're presenting it in a sensationalized way that it absolutely doesn't need,
Yeah.
and that immediately put me
entirely
off.
due to Landcash.
Entirely
okay.
due to what did he do? I mean, I don't admit.
He popularized Landcash.
Yes.
In like his channel is watched by lots and lots of 13-year-olds.
Absolutely,
And,
yes.
and worse, would you believe that such things exist? And yeah, he basically advertised the Landcash project.
Yes.
Landcash, like don't get me wrong, it's not rocket science to put together, but it's not like average 13-year-old to put together.
Yes.
And yeah, it resulted in like a massive, massive influx. Linus from Linus Tech Tips, not Linus Torvalds, who is a legendary wanker. But Linus Tech Tips, at least I can say has good intentions. I don't think I can say the same for Torvalds. I run Linux. I'm allowed to say that kind of thing. And yeah, basically, like massively popularized Landcash and caused a huge, huge influx of like support questions into the GitHub repository of like kids going, "How do I?" and
Right.
and why is it not working on my network? Why is it not making my downloads go fast? It's like because you haven't seeded the cache, because you're
Yes.
the only person using it.
Yes.
Blah blah blah. Blah, blah.
Because
Yeah,
because you
basically
don't.
Linus advertised it as 10 gigabit downloads in your house. Which is only true, obviously,
Which is
if you've
only
already
true if you've
seeded
already
it, and if you
downloaded
have
it.
10 gig. Like
If you've
it's,
already, yeah.
yeah.
What's a Linux? Yeah. Yes, I can see how that would be really annoying. And essentially, why isn't it working? Because you fundamentally don't understand what it
Yeah.
is.
No, in
Okay.
fairness, they're 13-year-olds. I don't expect them to understand. However, like it's not the kids' fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, Linus basically did a thing that massively popularized it.
And I bet it was a really clickbaity video as well. Just
Video title like "Get 10 gig downloads on Steam."
yes.
Yeah, with this one simple trick. ISPs hate him.
No, ISPs don't hate him.
Yeah.
Mint hates him.
Yeah. Jay has no idea what we're talking about. Sorry about that. Yeah, Winged One's TechTuber Alliance is extremely clear. He's got Tech Jesus as his avatar. Specifically, a very stressed out Tech Jesus. I think that's probably from one of the cases that he was reviewing that had like no airflow in or something. Back to cars, probably not
Yes,
a bad
that
idea.
would have. To be
before
fair,
we
it would
alienate our
yeah,
our
it would have
viewers.
been very nice. I mean, if people did things like that. But I'm going to have to chapter this thing and be like, we whinge about YouTubers, and then back to cars.
Yeah.
So yes, that's as I was saying. That's where Thunderbird is. Thunderbird's got lots more work being done, and I'm going to put my big boy painting pants on and actually paint the bodywork.
To
blue
clarify,
again.
not his big boy painted pants.
Painting.
Or painted on pants,
Yeah,
even worse.
painting.
Oh.
Yeah, God, no. Painting pants, like I did, and get the old air gun out again and do the wings. The downside before I can put the wings and hence the bonnet back on is I need to do the jams where they go into, leading up into the rest of the car. And there's a couple of the little panels that go around the hinges on the doors as well. So they can be done later, fortunately.
Real
but-
quick, I'm going to slither out and check on that
check
print.
the print, yeah. So they need to be done, which is all well and good, but it's the usual one of, oh well, I've started sanding this next bit of the car, and that bit of the car goes all the way to the very back of the car, so I cannot get too carried away sanding that. I have to just like get to the A pillar and stop. Not do the roof, not do the sides, not do the rear, none of that. Just get to the A pillar, get as far back as I need, stop, and then continue on afterwards. And I need a little bit of self-control for that. And we can just start priming it up gradually as we go along. Get the blue on, and it will all look. Oh my God, that did not work. Yeah, throw that on pop it down here.
Yeah.
Throw top down cam on.
That's not what you want to see.
So this.
That is not pretty.
That is not that.
just I mean, it's got a hole.
Vaguely.
You
You can actually vaguely see how it started out once upon a time.
Yeah. Pop. Pass me the.
Oh yeah, there's a small tolerance issue.
It works.
Yeah.
It fits through. Yeah, that didn't work, mate. That made a big old. It's still soft. Ow.
Yeah, so that's a lump of
this
material that's been extruding into continuously, so that's going to hold some heat for a little bit.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I felt it in my thumb.
Don't touch that.
Don't touch that. Don't eat this.
Spaghetti with a side of meatball.
Yeah.
Just one
got a
little
bit
lump of.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
here we have the genesis of the problem, the solution to the problem,
Ish.
and the final product that didn't work.
I'm glad you avoided saying the final solution there.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And then you did.
Yeah.
Right. Flip it back.
So yeah, I'm just gonna restart that print, and I'm just gonna do a hotter first layer
I
and hope
feel
for
like
the
we
best.
should have an Am I the AITA moment on stream.
Yeah.
Rive has just messaged me and said he realises that he feels a bit sheepish, he feels really bad because he didn't actually speak to me before we agreed that he could borrow my car for the weekend. He spoke to you.
He did, in fact, yeah. So the A3, the original pedal car, is subbing in for James, who we went through and rolled an Emira with, who's coming back to do a GR86 or GT86. Well, comparison between the two mostly. Sometime probably next month. He's borrowing the original pedal car, whilst his better half goes on her belated hen do. So yeah. But yes, we kind of discussed this. He asked me, I asked Yolanda whose car it is, and I referred back to him. But what he doesn't know is that it's a 30-degree weekend, and unfortunately the aircon gas doesn't appear to have stayed inside the aircon gas system, so it does need a regassing. So if Rive does happen
We can
to
make
be
that as
watching
payment
this,
for borrowing the car.
precisely. If you would like to book it in somewhere Saturday morning to get the old aircon gas refilled.
Well, he's planning on going down to the south coast.
Yes, he is, where it's going to be even warmer.
So
I mean, if he's lucky, he can get it in a Friday night, because you're going down in the afternoon. So.
I have booked it in for tomorrow morning to have the aircon
Right,
system
okay,
checked
fair enough.
at a local retailer.
Right.
There are many available.
Is it the rapid fixation kind?
No,
Ah,
no, they
okay.
couldn't fit me until next Friday.
Ah, that's no good. So
It's the same colour scheme as half the colour scheme of the PedalBox logo.
This video does not contain sponsored content.
I.
It actually doesn't yet,
Which
does it?
one?
No, everything.
Which one? Because the one I was talking about is blue.
Yeah, the one I'm talking about is orange.
I don't know what you're talking about.
ATS?
No, that's green.
I thought they were yellow.
ATS are yellow,
ATS are
yellow
yellow
and
and green.
red.
I'll take
yeah.
it.
Yeah, which would average to orange.
Yeah, this is true.
It's Quick Fit that we've used in the past, and to be fair, the Quick Fit in Reading are actually pretty good. One of our viewers, Maffy, who you've probably seen in the comments at some point, has a BMW, and we needed to strip the engine out, and it was full of gas. And we're like, we want to be the responsible people,
Oh,
and
I
not
love
just
this. This is
and not
amazing.
just vent the R134A to the atmosphere. So he took it down to Quick Fit and said, "Would you mind having my R134A just so we can be better people?" And we're like,
Yeah, would you mind just storing it?
sure.
Yeah.
And credit to them, they were like, yep, sure, once you've got it rebuilt,
They-
come back, let us know, and we'll put it back in
No,
for you.
not quite. They said if you ever get it rebuilt.
They were...
And sure enough, he came back.
He went back a year later, and the same guy remembered him and went, "Oh yeah, you spoke to me," and he put it back in, and he didn't charge him a dime, which, as far as I'm concerned, is some pretty good service. I think it was a bit of a congratulations on actually finishing the rebuild, which, yeah.
You know the running joke that every single freeze frame from anything I'm in is a painting?
Obviously.
Someone has grabbed this of my reaction to something earlier on stream. This has killed someone else from Weird Card
Wow.
Discords. This is over in Weird Card Discord.
I should probably join Weird Car Discord at some point.
You'd pitch a fit very, very rapidly because it's extremely communist.
Meh. I care not. As long as you're not trying to convert me. There you go. But yeah, so yes, when I'm editing, I regularly send pictures of Chris going like, or something to that effect.
I gurn like a champion.
He gurns like a champion.
I think I have quite an expressive face without ever really meaning to. Because I always think I look like deadpan and sound really boring and everything on the videos. But then anytime you can freeze frame it any
I'll
time.
just be editing it and he'll be like, oh, I've got a question. I'll just hit space. It'll just be some goofy face that it's paused on.
Yeah.
Gold. Absolute gold. Maybe for like, one day we'll hit 1 million subscribers and I'm just going to go through and I'm going to pick some choice faces from the videos. Get us to 1 million subscribers and I'm going to pick some choice Chris face.
I can see the desk from here. That one's brilliant. I love it.
Do you want to put the desk up?
Yeah, hang on.
It's things.
It's my turn on the stream.
Genuinely, it's things like this. It's just every now and again it happens. So hang on, wait. Unfortunately, we've got this round the wrong way because what we can do now is we can have that on one side. If we had the pip on the other side, I could just be holding you back, and you can be going like that meme. Just you can't just have a stream about cars and make a meme, and no one will know. Yes, you can.
Yeah. And the other one was this, which is apparently the perfect reaction for when the kid at the car meet says Supras make 1,000 horsepower stop.
Yeah, this is the PedalBox doubt sticker now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I was going to say, you can do that, can't you? You can do like customized stickers.
You can do. If you have a boosted server, yeah, you can. You
okay,
can
so Ronald
stick
Reagan's a
but
nerd, whoever that is.
Don't. It's what you need. So, but yeah, this is...
no offence, I mean, like, that is 100% meant as a compliment.
So yes, I mean...
We're all nerds here.
Yeah.
Look at me. You saw me rattle off a lot of information about esoteric insurance knowledge in the UK. Like, it takes one to know one. The old pot.
Oh, I was insulted.
Pot kettle
I was
black.
commenting on Ronald Reagan, not on you, mate.
Yeah, no.
I don't feel the need to tell you you're a nerd anymore. You know it. Like this is a
you
long
just
way
shout
from
it from the corner. Of the nerd.
That has happened. Yeah.
But yeah, so the kit car's coming along well. Next up, as I was saying earlier, for those of you who had just joined us recently, we are doing the roof, or some of the roof line this weekend, and we're going for roof scoop, always roof scoop.
Away. It's going to be glorious.
So yeah, we're going to do that.
The face other people pull when Chris talks about the SU1. Fuck off, knives. I mean, you're probably not wrong.
So yeah, we can get that in. And start putting more bodywork on the rear arches, which is going to be really, really good. Because then, basically, all the bodywork forward of the roof scoop, like halfway down the car, is going to be near enough done in the next 1 to 2 weeks, which is spectacular. And then moving onwards and sort of forwards from that down the car, you get to the wing mirrors, which we still need to kind of move around a little bit and work some stuff out.
Yeah, I still think the wing mirrors need to go outboard a bit more.
Another couple of inches, yeah. I've sort of come round to that at this point. It's
when you look in them and you realise that like a third of your view, a third of the mirror is just the rear haunch of the car. And don't get me wrong, it's a good looking haunch, but it's like the mirror exists so that I can see behind the car, not so that I can.
Yeah, so it needs a little bit of tweaking there, and I need to finish the kind of pillar in amongst the A pillar line basically, and how that comes into the dashboard and where it comes down the side, because I don't want just a big slab of metal down the A pillar, because that massively obstructs your view. So the umming and ahhing at the moment about trying to make something in plexi as a sort of a small splash window down the side, so it doesn't just bleed air directly in, but you can still see through it. But I'm such a massive hater of plexi windows because you can never clean them. They scratch really easily. They've missed it.
Plexi's turd in so many ways.
Yeah,
it's okay on like a rear window.
Even that, no, I hate it.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it on side windows and rear windows. It's awful.
Yeah.
If I could find some
Because
glass
the only place I wouldn't put it is on the windscreen. Because everywhere else is negotiable to me.
You're literally not allowed.
Yeah.
I mean, you are in America because
you're allowed anything.
Zip tie some stuff on.
Wasn't that the discussion we had when I was looking at putting plexi or acrylic in the greenhouse thing?
Yes.
One of them fatigues under UV light. I can't
Oh, that nearly went everywhere.
Safe. You're all good.
Got away with it. But yes, so I need to work out. I have an idea, but it's heavy, which is why I don't want to do it, which is getting some of the forward quarter lights from a recent model Ford Galaxy S-Max, which have a really nice sort of triangular shaped window like that, and it would fit in really, really nicely. However, it's a big old chunk of glass, which I don't particularly want to fit in.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about like the front quarter windows or something? Oh, they can be acrylic, that's fine.
Yeah,
you're not really looking out of them, are you? To be honest.
No, I know. It is more of a splash guard at that point than anything else. So yeah, it needs. I think it needs something putting in.
Because in my head, that acts really more as a wind deflector than as a window, really.
Yeah, precisely. Worst case, we can just paint it if it looks horrendous.
Yeah, Jay's asking if we missed him with every bullet so far, mate.
Yes, ballistic. I like it. So yes,
yeah.
So that needs to go in, and that's fairly easy because that's just some little U-section channeling that we can just drop the plexi into, sandwich it in, nice and simple. But for that, we need to work out where the dashboard is coming to, which means putting the steering wheel back in and kind of working some things out for that for kind of distances, because otherwise we end up having a windscreen that ends here and then a dash here that just kind of gets covered in everything in the world coming onto it.
Yeah.
And your hands and everything. So yeah, that needs a little bit of working down. And then once that's in, we can cover the side pods basically all the way forward to the windscreen. But I think even before we get to the windscreen, I'm probably going to end up doing stuff on the very front of the car. There was an interesting one, which Winged One can probably chime in if he's still in chat, about those aerofoils you were talking about that kind of go on the front of the Time Attack cars. And trying to incorporate.
Yeah, I'll see if I can dig that out.
Yeah.
I maintain I do not want to do that unless as an air curtain like Kia does or
so
whatever.
On the side, on the Time Attack ones, some of them put aerofoils basically, and they bolt them onto the side of the car.
I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can find.
I absolutely don't want to bolt it onto the side of the car. However, I have a flat slab side to the front of the car, which will be holding the outside edge of the splitter on the front. So I'm going to have a flat edge. If I'm having a flat edge, having a wing that deflects sort of down the side of the car and around and does something there, it's actually not impractical to mould that into the bodywork as it stands right now. So I'm kind of thinking about doing something like that.
I learned of these through Kyle Engineers on YouTube a little while ago. Now, if I'm
it's too late for that, Ron.
No, this is a huge exaggeration of the concept. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the right bit in the video now.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yoda's gonna swap my laptop screen on.
Yeah.
Please hold. So now on the screen, that at the top right there, the horrible green warty thing, that is the air curtain that actually gets you like a notable detectable amount of thrust.
Do you know you actually see them
the front of the car.
most commonly on anything else? Trucks.
Yeah,
almost every modern truck from the last decade or so, if you look at the very front corner of it, has this little aerofoil deal that just bleeds out. It's exactly the same thing.
The part that I find actually quite interesting is on the CFD model here, where you can see it is actually an aerofoil shape. It's not just a bent sheet of metal, which is part of why I wouldn't want to make one. But yeah, there you can actually really see where the thrust is coming from as it's redirecting the airflow around.
I'm just going to put
that's such a
onto there so I can have a better look.
It's such a ridiculous size of thing. Like this is something that he when he was designing this. This is the most ridiculous possible version of this that I can imagine. Yeah, let's do this and see what it does.
Because that I'm pretty sure is a Ford. I think that's a Mustang.
That's a Mustang. Yeah, that's a current gen Mustang.
Yeah. So we could make something like that, probably much narrower in, and it would still have some good effect.
Yeah, and then in the real world, something that you'd probably do. So if I remember right, that was the fog light pod.
Yes.
And you get a minor improvement from blocking it off, smoothing it over completely, and you get another smaller improvement by creating a little bleed-through duct that allows air in. And you can't really see it very well in that thumbnail, but there's actually a little slit inside the front of the wing there that allows air into the wheel well.
That's totally doable in what we have at the moment because of how we've got the...
that's eminently doable for us.
Come back to turning vanes.
Yeah.
Yes, pretty much. But I mean, we could feasibly print the vane for the size that we need.
Yeah, probably.
We could print what we needed. If Winged One's happy to help design it, we can print it and just have it so it screws in top and bottom and goes into the body and sandwiches between the two.
I've been watching bits and pieces of his channel for years, and I sort of dropped off it for a while and came back to it. This one here is really, really good as well. This one about fully mode decoupled suspension. I'm not going to go into it now, but that's a really, really good watch, and I'd strongly recommend it. It completely flipped on its head how I thought of suspension as working. In my head, the ultimate dream is you want like fully independent suspension where each wheel is able to track the road perfectly. That's actually trash.
Ex-F1 engineer uses his wife's Kia as a
Kia
prop.
uses use air curtains.
But yeah, it is sort of it's something that we can quite easily, because I haven't designed anything, this is paying dividends for us every now and again. And we can incorporate that really, really easily. And moreover, it actually answers a massive question of what do we do at the front of the car? What do we
presumably?
Yeah, what are we going to do at the front of the car with the thing? So that needs a bit of thought and sat down and sort of planning. And if I've got something like that, I can plan it a lot easier, and I can work something like that in. Okay, cool. Well, I've got this defined area and this defined area and something in the middle.
That is one of the nice things about the front of that car being so undefined. Yeah, as you say, we can.
We
can, in theory, pretty much work anything into it. Which...
Yeah, working from the front of the car, the first one is going to be extending the duct at the front, going forward, basically around the framework, so it comes. So it's not just the radiator duct at the moment; it's basically just this, and then scooping up out of the top. But actually, it needs to go sideways as well. So that's two more little.
Yeah, we actually want it exiting around.
No, this is on the front. This is on the collector side.
Oh, right. Okay.
So coming out where the framework is, basically there's two triangles in different planes, so it just needs a piece across the front of there, and that will feed into the rest of the duct, but they're going to be aluminium rather than steel because they're further out they're overhanging basically, and I'm trying to make all of the overhanging and high bits as light as I possibly can. So yeah.
Congratulations on catching up.
Well done, Aid. That was pretty good work. You've caught up at 1.25 times speed. It took you you've got through an hour and 20 minutes. Congrats. So yeah, so that's the plan for the front end. At least is going to have something. Oh, I took it off.
No, something like the air curtain.
Yeah, something like the air curtain built on there.
To be fair, the air curtain does seem quite situational because on the Mustang, depending on what wheels you option.
It up on there. Do you want to just maximise yours? No, you'll just go full big rather than all the.
So depending on what wheels you option on your Mustang, they sometimes blank out the air curtains. So they're obviously situational. There is they sometimes improve things, they sometimes don't.
Yeah.
I suspect the really big one hanging out of the air path of the front of the car is always a win because it's never never interfering with the wheels in the same ways. But I'm just completely pulling out my ass. That's just like an intuition more than anything.
But yes, so that's where the front end of the car is kind of going forwards. So the next one is going to be starting from there and moving back towards the windscreen to give me as long as possible to work on the sort of the midsection of the car where those wing mirrors are. And again, some of that is going to be just kind of spitballing and testing and prodding stuff around to see what works. And I'm not entirely sure how it's going to end up yet, as I say. Part of me is saying having like a moulded in wing mirror shape that comes out, which is a lot of hassle. There's another part of me that says because unfortunately I've lost the pods, I've lost the little stalks that the wing mirrors used to sit on, but we could just plonk those on the side, wrap it to the same geometry as the outer on the TT, and we're done. Which does feel like an enormous win. So I'm still very, very tempted to just plonk two little ears on the side as another option and see where that goes.
The winged one is saying make the air curtains as wide as we'll let him because we can always add more rear wing to that.
Yes, yeah, we can.
We'll know we've succeeded if we need to add a 2-element wing.
Yes.
That's the point where we go, okay, we've put enough downforce on the front when we have to go 2 elements,
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is all just going to be like scaling and scaling and scaling. And the thing is, if we make the front so you can just screw in and screw out the sections, we can add. If we go, we really want lots and lots of stuff for the track, cool. We'll just build some wider ones that we can just screw in.
We do it taxi style, don't we? You know, we have some switches in the cabin that when you
Yes,
click the
you
right
just
switch,
flick
the
them
car
and it just,
jacks itself up. It retracts one chin inside, it deploys a bigger one.
Yeah.
I still never worked out where the bigger one comes from because it's wider than the car. I don't know where it pops out of to fit.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, so Henson Cars makes a very good point. We could 3D print the housings for the mirrors as well, so yes, absolutely.
A wing mirror is required here in the UK. A wing mirror is required, if I remember
You need
right.
at least 2 mirrors.
2 mirrors in total.
Out of 3 possibles, and that can be...
And one of them has to be the centre.
It's
Or
drivers and centre, or drivers and passengers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you have to have the driver's side one, but you don't necessarily have to have the passenger side one.
Have we considered flat floor diffuser? We have, right from the beginning. That's actually why the rear silencer is mounted as high up in the car as it is.
Yeah, it is already flat floored. We already have all the flooring parts for it, so they're on. They just need to go back on after having bought the second round because the first ones were terrible. That does remind me, actually, I need to buy a lot of epoxy because my plan is to put another coat of external... Basically, I got phenolic plywood, which is... like impregnated with epoxy throughout, but where I've cut the edges, obviously it's now open again, so I need to re-epoxy the edges, and I figure if I'm re-epoxying the edges, I might as well slap another coat of epoxy on the top and bottom, and then we can just sand it down ever so slightly.
Rake, I think we'll use to tune aero balance if we need to.
Yeah, it'll have a little bit of rake. At the moment it's set up for dead flat, but it's also set up with about 4 inches of ground clearance. So
we're also aware
we can drop at least another inch, front and rear, and we can probably drop the front another inch or so again if we're going somewhere on track and just crank it down and have a known good setup that works.
So, as far as we can tell, we're going to have tons and tons of rear aero. So the diffuser, we've got room for a more than big enough diffuser. There's actually another Kyle Engineers video. There's a common myth. That bigger is better with diffuser. Sorry,
as I'd say, middle one isn't required because trucks and vans.
Oh, true. So yeah, there's there are diminishing returns with the diffuser. You can make a diffuser too big in the sense of it's bigger than you need. It doesn't hurt. It just only performs as well as a smaller one.
It's pointlessly big at that point.
Yeah. So, but like because our diffuser is going to be probably bigger than big enough, so we'll have as much diffuser effectiveness as we can get.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a big wing over the whole back of the car. We're going to have like loads and loads and loads of rear aero.
Yeah.
So running rake to add even more rear aero probably, or at least I think rake adds rear, doesn't it?
It adds to the front as well, because you end up going.
Of course, because it moves your aero center, doesn't it?
Yeah. So this was the problem with the Mercedes.
Sorry, what I was wondering was not does it add to the front or add to the rear? Is where does it add most? Like what does it do to the balance?
Front.
Really, it moves the balance forward.
So this was the problem that the Mercedes had that backflipped at the Nürburgring. Was it Nürburgring or was it Spa?
I thought it was just too low to the ground and it lost aero control.
So the problem with that is it was nothing, not even that. The problem was it had too short of a wheelbase with too long of an overhang.
Oh.
It had a huge amount of aero on the back.
No,
hang on. So it had a huge amount of aero on the back, which then pushed it down because it had a huge cantilever effect. Yes, it was Le Mans. It then had a huge overhang at the front.
Yeah.
So it made it very, very finicky, and it was a tiny little change at either end could turn it into a sail and send it up. And they ran almost no rake so that they could go as fast as possible. So they had virtually no rake, a lot of enough rear downforce, and very little on the front for the same reason. But the enough that they had. It also that they were within something like 1 to 2/10 of a degree of rake from just being a wing.
Yeah.
And going and flipping at any given moment.
So they
and
came
basically
over
they went
the
over
wrong way and
it was a bump and all these other little bits and pieces piled up and piled up and piled up and basically just went and they were gone.
Apparently we can put a wing in the diffuser to help with flow attachment. I'm not particularly surprised by that. Now that you've mentioned it, it seems really intuitive.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Makes sense.
Apparently no one does it though because every race series banned it. So there's actually not that much research on it.
So
but
this is
it's got a couple of models.
I mean, this is the other fun one. I mean, we do effectively have a fan car because we have 2 big fans sucking air out of the back of the car. So there is going to be a little bit of like ground effect coming through there. Not
Ain't
much.
Gonna be a lot,
but there is going to be a little bit of draft coming through the side pods, going up and getting sucked out the back of the car, being drawn up through the engine bay. So
yeah,
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I keep like coming back to things. So yeah, the next stuff up on the kit car is the roof going on. And as I say, it might just be a big bodywork heavy episode coming up after, not this weekend, because this weekend's one is the inner arches and the exhaust stuff, but the one after that, so potentially 2 weeks from now, maybe 3 weeks from now, could just be a big old bodywork episode. Putting a roof line on and putting in all the bodywork kind of around that section, which would be really, really satisfying to do. But the problem with doing that is when we wrap around the sort of B and C pillars effectively in the car, we also have to join it to the firewall underneath the cage. We have to work out where that goes up and how we feed the cage through the firewall, but also not allow too much of the engine noise through as well, which is going to be a challenge.
Oh yeah, because this is like NVH is so high up on our list of priorities here.
Yeah, well,
I can kind of imagine myself just
wanna,
wearing ear defenders every time I'm driving.
Yeah, I don't want to be. I'm deaf enough from angle grinders. I don't need to be deaf from that as well. So it's going to need something to stop it a little bit. But whether that ends up just being a couple of rubber gaskets around it or something, I just don't know. It's probably going to end up getting sealed. With
it is surprising what you can achieve with a sheet of metal with just enough lagging on it, and then a rubber seal. Like wherever you've got like a removable piece, the TF does it, and I suspect the MR2 is quite similar.
Yeah.
The engine bay, you've got this big open like access port that's just behind your head, inside the roof in the parcel shelf, and all it is just a metal panel, and like obviously it's got a lot of forming in it to give it strength. But yeah, it's just lagged to hell, just absolutely covered in.
That was it. So yeah, it was the slipstream of the Toyota that pushed them over the edge.
Oh, right.
Because as you said, the bump and the crest were one thing, but being in the slipstream of the Toyota changed the flow so much more that they lost, I think, all of their underfloor aero as a result of being behind the Toyota.
Yeah.
And that just they went.
Well.
Where they put part of the fuel tank into the trunk of the... yes.
I can't actually remember that Toyota.
What, the Charisma?
No.
Yeah,
the Toyota Charisma? I'm sure I remember there being a Mitsubishi Charisma. Again, showing my whole ass here with how much I know about Japanese cars. I have a phenomenally Anglo-centric view of the car world.
So the
corrugated, not quite. It was
the Corolla and the Charisma. There was a Charisma spec Corolla, but there was also the Mitsubishi Charisma. So yeah, it could be either one. Toyota Corolla, Charisma and Charisma Plus limited edition, 1994. Yeah.
I mean, like that.
What was this?
That's off the TF. That's the engine bay cover from the TF.
Oh, right.
Sorry,
yes.
Winged One was asking if I meant corrugated. I didn't. I meant whatever nonsense that is. It's a bloody crazy paving, let's be fair. But yeah, just absolutely cover it in Dynamat. Surprising what it does.
Yeah, basically the main part of the car that's going to end up being Dynamat is going to be the bit behind us to stop heat bleeding through. And it's going to have some Dynamat on to stop the vibrations, and then it's also going to have a little bit of lagging on there as well, some foam. Because it's an inch deep, effectively. We've got the skeleton of the rear panel, and then we've got a panel, obviously, for the firewall into the engine. And there's going to be nothing in there. And there's no point having sort of, not a void, but there's no point leaving the skeleton visible, so we might as well use it to our advantage. So if we can put 1/8 of an inch of Dynamat in and then crush in 1 inch of padding in there to stop it vibrating and stop the heat and everything else coming through, we're onto a winner. And then we can put something nicer over there. It's not going to be like a plush leather interior.
I think like adhesive foil on the engine bay side, and on the inside, I can't remember which way round is best. I feel like Dynamat on the metal and then foam inside that.
Yeah, you Dynamat the metal, you put foam on, and then you put... I mean, you could use something like Corex or Polycard or something like that and just put it over the top.
White Knight was saying, by the way, Corex apparently doesn't enjoy bending. Maybe it does on one axis.
Yeah, it goes on one axis.
If you've got your corrugations that way,
it doesn't...
you can bend it like along the corrugations, not against them.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you're bending it along with that, you can get quite a tight curve in. And you can bend it, because we use it a lot in the flooring in films and stuff. You can fold it. You'll get a crease, but the fact of the matter is it's dead easy to get the crease in it, because you just go, and that's it, and it's done. And then hold it in. So it's not going to give you a nice, crisp, clean line without a little bit of finagling, but it's not like it's something that has to actively flex the same every time. It's just in and bend it as it goes up, and it'll be fine.
I need to stop talking out my arse because I just remembered there was a really, really good sound deadening video that Tech Ingredients did. If any of you don't know Tech Ingredients, it's a really old dude who apparently has a ton of money and way too much time, and he just does loads and loads of really cool projects and experiments. He's done experiments with building a motor generator unit to power a brushless drone that needed more flight time than he could get off batteries, so he made a petrol engine generator to charge his batteries up in flight. He's done
as one does.
Yeah, he's made his own rockets, figured out his own like solid propellant chemistries, which in fairness like wasn't entirely his own. He reverse engineered a bit of stuff for it. He's done built lasers, built his own propellers for his drone. He's built a jet engine, built several jet engines.
Yes. He's
built magneto-hydroplasma dynamic generators, which is actually what made him want to build the rockets, because a rocket is just about the only way to make the high temperature, high velocity plasma that you need to test an MHD. Yeah, the dude's nuts. Like, he just goes, oh, I kind of fancy doing a thing.
Hey,
throws money at it. He's what I'd like. He's what I think I would be like if I had like that kind of amount of space and,
to be like,
time and everything.
I could just insert literally anything here.
And I got a huge amount of respect for him. It's an absolutely brilliant channel. Extremely dry. Like, I don't think it's everyone's cup of tea, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And he did a video. He's done a series of videos actually on sound deadening. And yeah, there's so I'll have to revisit those. And yeah, and it's stuff like, you know, do you put the heavy, like you've got your wall, do you put the heavy material on first and then foam, or do you put the foam first and then the heavy material? Like, what produces the? What are the spectral results?
You always want.
Like
Jay has to be on the silly o'clock, so he is off.
Fair enough, Jay.
My condolences, buddy.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, but thank you for sticking around. We will catch you next time, no doubt. We should be back here this time next week. Well, not this time, obviously, an hour and a half ago, a week in the future. So,
same time next week.
Yeah, let's go with
that. Actually, no, we won't be, because I'll be getting vaccinated in a week.
Oh, so you might be dead.
a week today.
Yeah, so you might be, like, dying
I'll be Pfizer, so I'll just have a dead arm, but, like, I'll be in Wales.
Second gen... Oh, yeah, fair point. Yeah, good point. Well, to be fair, next week we were discussing this between Rive and I. He was going to come and do another... deep dive into a car configuration. We were going to roll another car like we did with the Emira, which actually did surprisingly well for a, hey, we're going to unbox some Thunderbird parts for the second time. We spent an hour and a half looking through the Lotus Emira configurator. Yes, as I'd say, second jab of Pfizer is a killer. Anecdotally, it's worse than the first.
Really?
And AstraZeneca is the other way around.
To be fair, worse than the first is fine, because the first was just like my arm ached for a bit.
So AstraZeneca has a really bad first one.
Yeah.
And the second one is nothing.
Yeah.
And Pfizer is the other way around.
Okay.
A perfectly fine normal one. Oh, dead arm. Okay, whatever. And the second one just kicks you all the way down the road.
God damn.
So,
but again, my mum and grandma both had Pfizer, and they're like, yeah, it was nothing.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Maybe it varies.
Specifically, those are in younger people, like under 40s.
Oh, right. It's younger people that get kicked down by it. Okay.
Yeah. So, but this is all. Yeah, this is all anecdotal, but from a wide number of people who I've seen going, oh yeah, I had this, and it stacks up, but I'm not about to publish a scientific paper on this. Let's be real.
Yeah, two things.
Yeah, there you go. So
White Knight saying Tech Ingredients is probably a teacher. If he is a teacher, he was a bloody good one. Like, because he is incredibly good at relaying information, and Fouquet's, I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Vaxarm.
Saying if you want super nerdy stuff that isn't super dry, Martin's work on Winter Gatan, the Marble Machine X, that is so good. Proper engineering porn, but it's so creative and artistic as well. It's a really good like sort of collection of all sorts of different things. Like, if you care about music, you'll enjoy it. If you care about engineering, you'll enjoy it.
It's one of
if
those
you care about
things.
Video production, even, you'll enjoy it, because it's just so nicely put together.
There was a lot. He's been pulling in a lot of other people, so this old Tony's done a part for him as well, and like that's high praise. If I could make like a bracket or something, or even if Binky made a bracket, that would be cool. Like drag in a few more people just to make odds and ends. Yeah, that would definitely be a. Kind of a, we've made it. We've made it when we contribute something to somebody else's project like that. But yeah, that would be That'd be cool.
too many other channels. There's never enough other channels.
Oh, there's so
no,
many
there's never enough good other channels. There are too many channels.
To be fair, I have found
there
the
aren't
point where
enough good
I run out of channels, and I have 200 and odd subscriptions, and I go down and I'm like,
I've got like 10.
nothing I want.
I've got
to
so
watch.
few subscriptions now. Because I used to have a bunch, and I
catch up on
realised
so
that I
many.
don't care about most of them. Like, I'll find a channel, I'll watch
went
like 2
through
of the
that.
videos and
I've
think,
got-
oh, they're great, I'll subscribe.
Yeah.
And I'll see video after video after video, and just like, I just don't give a shit.
I purged a load out,
Okay.
and I still had well over 200. I mean, a bunch of them are ones that I've sort of found us on here, and I've looked through and gone through, so it's nice to catch up with those. So I've added those on, which is always really good to kind of like help keep building the community and everybody support everybody else. So we really need to. I've got an idea for something to try and help with that as well. That's like mulling around in the back of my head. But yeah, that's kind of where we're up to with all the cars at the moment. You didn't set that printing again because
I did.
Oh, it's going again, is it?
I mean, it's probably failed again.
It's
Actually, no. This time I set the bed way hotter, so it should have stuck.
Okay.
But
Go and
I'll check it anyway. It's probably not a bad idea.
pull another gorgeous face.
Yeah. No, I'm leaving the desk properly this time.
So we'll have a good bodywork episode coming up soon as we put some of the, well, not the roof, but parts of the roof on. We've also got to do like the A-pillars down the side of there, and then start closing in the front of the car basically, and put the front arches on. They're going to be one of the next ones to go on. The bonnet is probably going to be a 2-parter, and the front piece is probably going to be perma-fixed, just to give it enough strength to support the hinging on the back. Did it fail again?
Very much so.
Wow. Pass it in.
I don't even know how. Like, I haven't changed anything. All I've done is move the machine. But I've like re-leveled it and all the usual.
Wow. Yeah, that is...
So I'm going to have to actually like sit down and
You're on top.
fix it.
Yes. So...
I mean, that
Yeah.
one failed a lot quicker, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how
And
that
then
happened.
just gooped itself up.
Have you said goodbye to Aid's Workshop Aid?
No, I have
He's
not.
off as well.
Night Aid, have
See
a
you,
good
buddy.
night. We will hopefully see you next week. I do at some point need to try and work something out that you can do with us to collaborate, because we have been threatening that for about 2 years between us.
And then some, yeah.
And probably then some.
Because
but-
I remember, actually, do you remember when we were building the front suspension? And
Yes.
we thought we'd need a particular like bush insert thing
Yeah.
machined up.
Yeah. Well, we
And
still, to be fair, we still do.
Do we?
Yes, we do. They're in the back of the car, and Colin at Ignition said he was going to help us sort it out, and I've
Yeah.
never been down there with enough time to just sort it, because he said, oh yeah, just have a crack at the lathe and it'll be
Yeah.
fine. But I need to take the front hob off so I can take it down, so I've got something to compare to make sure I don't overturn them and reduce them by too much.
Yeah, and so I did actually clean it before this attempt and before the last attempt
Yeah.
with 0 residue solvents. I actually used contact cleaner, but like whatever. It eats
Largely
everything.
the same
yeah.
thing, yeah.
Previously, I've cleaned it with brake clean. That also works quite well.
As Adrian Bourne says, we need a laser sintering printer.
We do.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. You too could help
To be honest,
buy us
to
one.
be fair, for stuff
if
like
you would
this,
like
yeah.
to, if you'd like to go to shop.pedalbox.show and buy merch that is not like this T-shirt, because I never got another one like this printed, but something very similar to it, which is inconveniently packed away in the box to my right that I can't actually show you right now. You could help us to, well, probably not buy a laser sintering printer, to be
I mean,
fair.
it'd be baby steps towards it. Actually, to be
Yeah.
fair, for stuff like this, the winning move would probably be a resin printer.
Yeah, not wrong. But yeah, we could do that. You could go to shop.pedalbox.show right now and buy one of our mugs. Very similar to this, but with orange and our logo instead of the decimal tenths one. Or a t-shirt like this, but not in this colour. Or a hat, much like this, that
Like
Chris
this,
was
which I
somehow
haven't been
wearing.
wearing. Because,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's hot.
Yeah, because it's probably the better part of about 28, 29 degrees in here at the moment. However, you can also go to patreon.com/pedalboxshow and you can support us from as little as $1 a month. And now we've actually learned what our tiers are. Yeah.
I felt really bad when we realised that, because I've been saying for so long that all of our Patreon tiers get access to Discord. And there's all the $1 people who are like,
Yeah.
where's my friggin' Discord access?
Yes. To be fair,
I'm
we
like,
only have-
I lied.
we only have 2 people who are on $1.
Okay.
Owen and your dad.
Okay, the dad probably doesn't care.
Yeah.
Um,
And I have, to be fair, I sent the link to Owen, so he has got it, he just hasn't joined as far as I'm aware.
which
so-
Owen?
Zubel.
Oh, right, okay. Sorry, because there's an Owen in chat earlier from
Yes.
Weird Car Discord, which
Yeah.
was throwing me.
But yes,
So, yeah.
5. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, potentially. That we might take.
I'm not
you
actually
up
sure
on
what
that.
resin's good for, to be honest, but yeah, probably.
Better more than war. Huh. What is? Oh, never mind.
Is this some old people shit that I'm too
Yeah,
young to
yeah, it is.
understand?
Oh no, that was a joke at work today because one of the acronyms for a document that we have to submit
Is war.
each week is war.
Amazing.
And someone
seeing
was
what you
like,
do, that's
submitting,
hilarious.
submitting documentation and project
Yeah.
plans. on time.
Yay! White Knight,
We have-
who is actually older than me, got the joke, so I don't feel.
We seem to have offers of
Motown
lots of.
Chartbusters?
But yes,
printers
to be
around.
fair, Mint is also in our local area at this point and has two Ender 3s, so
Yeah.
we could like mass produce things.
To be fair, my 5 Plus normally works really well. It's
It has
literally
done.
tonight
Yeah,
it's
it
been
has done
misbehaving.
well.
It has been it's been a trooper
Yeah,
for most of the time.
Um,
It's just since I've moved it, I've upset something.
we'll give it another go over the
Yeah.
weekend and see what it does. So yeah, that's what's coming up, which will be really good fun to get done. I might actually, well, it depends what happens with the weather as to whether or not I get a lot of stuff done on the Thunderbird.
This
'cause
sounds
as I say-
dangerously right like a wrap up, by the way. Are you trying to close early,
Ooh.
or are you just starting
No,
at
I'm
quarter
just-
2, expecting it to roll on until
I was
10?
wondering
Yeah,
that.
I'm giving myself a 20-minute lead up to the starting point of the wrap up at
Yeah,
least.
fair.
You know, I'm really working on it. But I am also trying to wrap up some of the things we've been talking about for at least an hour.
Yeah.
About what's coming up on the kit car next. And as I was saying, when you nipped out to look at the
melt,
the
the
mess,
fail.
yeah, the
I
melt
think it's
that's on
down
the
here.
floor. Yeah, it is. One of the next big things I really want to do
But it's
is
still
the front arches. I really want to get those in. The biggest problem we actually have at the moment is working out how to do the edges of things, because the edges have to have this 2.5mm radius on.
I still want to check the docs on that, because it doesn't feel like that has to be on like the underhanging edges and the trailing edges and stuff. It just seems really weird.
Every edge. Yeah, it's really bad. It's any panel edges is what it lists it as. Which I mean, leading edge above the like the eyebrows for the lights.
Yeah.
I understand. Like if you can
Yeah,
drive
that's
into
obvious.
someone, you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
you don't want a knife.
And to be fair, like the trailing edges,
It's a
like where
really
we've
bad
got on the
idea.
backs of our wings
Again,
over the lights, I kind of
reversing
understand.
into
Well, not even
people,
just
yeah.
reversing, but like someone falls into it or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like under the wheel arches.
Yeah.
And under where the rear quarters cut off and
Under the
stuff,
rear-
it just doesn't feel like that should need.
Under the wheel arches is for when people go under the wheels and they go round up through. Yep, there you go.
I feel like if that's happened, you're already
It's
ruined.
already bad, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you
it's-
not had the kids around here try and jump under your car for a joke?
No.
We've had that happen at
We've had
least
that a
3
couple of times, yeah. Yeah.
They push each other into oncoming cars.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, but to be fair, that still isn't going to
probably-
lead to someone getting wrapped around a wheel arch.
To be fair, they probably also eat Tide Pods. so-
Granted, yeah.
Yeah. And now we have to have that on the end of every
This is the-
advert.
This is the pre-wrap up, apparently.
Yeah, this is the pre-wrap up. Well, I mean, we had the pre-wrap up intro right at the start when I
Yep.
was like, we can start wrapping up now. So, yeah, we can get to that. We can get the roof, some of the roof stuff on, because I really want to start making those panels. The next one I really want to do as a removable panel is making the engine cover at the back, because that will get the whole back half of the car looking really good. And that's just going to be a one-piece wrap over of aluminium that drops down into it as wide as I can get. I can get a 1 meter by 2 meter piece of aluminium, so I can get it a meter across, and it'll wrap around nicely, and then we just have a panel across the back that leads it into the
Would gurney
into the
flaps
wing.
help with the trailing edge limitations? The gurney flaps would also need a 2.5mm radius.
yeah, basically.
Is it, as far as I can, from what Aid said, now I haven't looked at the regs, so I'm not going to back this up, but from what Aid's saying, it's literally any sheet metal edge. It might even not just be sheet metal, it might just be any
it's
edge,
any
plastic or
panel
whatever.
edge. If you're
Yeah.
doing it in fiberglass, carbon fiber, anything like that, the edge has to
Now,
have
that being said,
2.5mm radius.
If our gurney flap was made of 5mm thick material,
We could just
and we
sand it
sanded
over.
it round,
That's
that
perfect.
would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
fine. So yeah, slapping gurney flaps on everything is valid engineering. Yeah, cool. Good to know.
I was actually quite
do you want to find a
surprised. I
picture of
saw-
some gurney flaps?
Yeah,
and then
I
we
saw a
can
while
put them
ago
up on here?
someone putting and it seemed really weird for a minute, and then
Yeah.
actually in the context it sort of made sense. I saw someone putting a gurney flap on a wing.
Okay.
I was confused, but like actually, sorry. Oh, I'm thinking of something else. Sorry, I was thinking of like a small spoiler rather than a gurney flap, because a gurney flap
Okay.
actually does go on a
Let me
wing.
pop it on your thing, and I'll put it up on the screen behind us.
So that's like an airflow diagram of a gurney flap. So the gurney flap is this little vertical piece here, which looks like it would disrupt airflow, but it sort of helps reattach stuff.
Interesting.
I could swear that that's not actually a gurney flap. That feels like a spoiler to me, whereas that is a gurney flap because it's on a wing.
Okay.
And that is a gurney flap because it's on a wing.
Because it's on a wing,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Whereas, like, and if it's just on the body, it feels like it's just a spoiler.
Yeah.
Like, as a spoiler is just an obstruction that you put in the way to change how airflow attaches, and that's like.
I mean, to be fair, that 996 GT2 one, which is now
Sorry,
down
it's now
here,
strolled, yeah.
is a little bit like that because it's a big old slab in the middle
Yeah.
with some wing off each edge and a gurney flap. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the
Like that's just breaking the rules.
That's every tick box
Yeah.
was ticked.
Yeah, that's effectively what gurney flaps do.
Gotcha.
They bring they. I might be oversimplifying, but yeah, they modify the airflow
Yeah.
exit direction effectively. Something
But
like
yeah,
that.
so I mean, we do need to design a wing and somehow make it as well to go
Yeah.
across the back, which is going to obviously be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see where that ends up at. But the wing is, I assume called gurney flaps if they're on the bodywork. Yeah, okay.
It
fair
must just
enough.
be that
So-
people are like inconsistent with
Yeah.
their definitions. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a good one as well. Actually, by the way, sorry, I'm just gonna whenever I recognise a good video that I can
flow
recommend people
visualization.
watch. Yeah, Gray's
Yeah.
Garage.
Yeah.
Flow visualizations. It's a bit of a long watch. It is nearly an hour of video,
Ooh,
but it
boy.
is very, very, very good.
Yeah.
It's a full like drag coefficient breakdown of various different body types and
So
cars
that's
and the effects
MR
that modifications on them have.
MR2, RX7, Supra, and the FRS.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's a good
Yeah.
little
But
set
that,
of
yeah,
different
that's
things
really,
there.
really good because there's scale models done in water. But
Oh,
if
so
you're
they
at
do
the
like
right
dye.
scale,
Yeah.
but if you're at the right scale, water behaves like air to scale.
Yeah. I mean, there was an interesting one in the
Reynolds
wind tunnel
number
that
or something.
I quite enjoyed, which was Cletus McFarland testing the El Camino and the Dart. And it turns out that whilst the El Camino makes something like makes about £200 of lift at the front and £400 of downforce at the back, so it's about £200 of downforce across the whole car. I think it's James who has the Dart. His Dart makes something like £800 of lift across the whole car. Of lift.
Oh, it's a
Of
good thing it
pure-
weighs 4,000 pounds.
Yeah. It's just literally pure. It's horrendous. Like, no wonder it wheelies everywhere it goes, because as soon as it gets up, it's just a wing. Yeah, as Amy says, that Dart is basically just an aeroplane that's tilted down a little bit too far, and when it gets going, it really gets going.
I'm gonna have to watch this one at some point. How effective is a flat floor?
Yes, because we might have wasted our time.
Might have.
I really hope we haven't. We still need a floor, one way or
Some
another.
of the forums
Yes.
on the SVA situation.
Yes.
It is 2.5, and it is all interior and exterior panels.
Yes, and not just that, you also have to have a 40mm radius on your lower dashboard as well.
Oh, for
No,
when
for
heads and knees go into it, yeah.
On
That-
your
that makes sense, that's
lower
reasonable.
dashboard needs a 40mm radius. Most people just use 2-inch.
We're not saying we didn't waste our time, don't worry.
2-inch drainage pipe or something like that, and they run that across the bottom edge, and that gives them a nice radius round. Like, who am I to argue? It's basically just going to be something like that, or maybe aluminium. I don't know. We'll make it out of something, but it'll be wrapped around and then over the top, and then punch the things that we want
Someone
through.
failed their SVA in 2006 because they put a hole through the side of the car for the exhaust to come out of.
And the edge wasn't
And
rounded
the edge
off.
wasn't rounded.
Yeah, so Yolanda's just found something, punched a hole through the side for the exhaust to poke out, and
that's-
because the edge of that hole wasn't radius to 2.5mm, they failed the SVA. Now, in fairness, that's an easy fix for your SVA.
That sounds a little bit like the tester was out to get them, but nonetheless,
It is-
the rules
it-
is the
yeah,
rules because
it's
yeah,
every
the
edge
tester
on
wouldn't
every
have been able
panel.
to do that if the rules weren't there. So.
There's
Yeah.
one here that took 4.5 hours.
No, the SVA is a 4-hour test.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fairly involved.
The
yeah.
SVA is like an MOT on steroids to get through.
3 examiners and 2 trainees, and it took 4.5 hours. So in that case, if people are learning,
So yeah, exactly, especially if people are learning, they're going to go absolutely by the book everywhere and make an example of you.
Pro tip: don't be a dick to your SVA tester.
Yes, keep
Yeah.
your SVA man sweet. Don't bribe him, but be nice.
Offer him a brew when he arrives.
You go to them.
Oh, you go. Offer them a brew when you arrive.
Yes, take a
Bring a
flask.
brew.
Take a flask. Yeah. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. I'd like, as I was saying
brutal.
to to Chris, it'd be nice to have the car done by the end of this year. It probably won't be SVA'd by the end of this year because there is a waiting list on that, obviously. But being done drivable, take it on a trailer to a track and start thrashing it about the place. We can start learning things about it without having to have the SVA, which
I
is
feel
good.
like by the end of this year, we'll be able to trailer it to a track and thrash it round. If we've spoken to the track beforehand and offered them a
Yes.
chunk of money to say, can we borrow your track,
Yeah.
please?
Well,
I don't think there's any way we're making it into like an open pit lane.
There
or
is
anything.
but there is usually for stuff like that. Certainly, Kerberer, the in before Christmas. Yeah, absolutely. At Kerberer, we've had it in the past where we've had morning and afternoon sessions, and then you have a demonstration session whilst everybody else is off track over lunch, where people who don't have an MOT'd car, because you have to have an MOT to be in those sessions as per the club rules that they give to the club to run the session, etc., etc. They go, it's a demo session and there's only one car out for this half-hour period doing this. Nobody else can go. Oh, no, absolutely. Next year's track days, but if we can get it somewhere when it's wet and we can poodle around somewhere because it's quiet.
To be honest, we don't need bodywork to be able to take it on track.
It'll
We
have
need
bodywork by the end of the year because
You
I've
reckon?
committed to finishing the body at one panel every episode. If you think
Yeah,
about
true.
it,
It's
if
not
you-
that many panels.
Yeah, if you want to think about it as a split the car down the side. If the next episode is going to be the roof, so we can get it out the garage, or the roof supports.
Yeah.
So that's one episode.
So we can get it out the garage.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, get the roof support
Yes,
out the
yeah,
garage.
yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant get the car. The car's
No,
not
it's
in
never been
right,
in the garage.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
no, it hasn't for 2 years. So
Technically,
we,
all at one point has been in the garage.
yes.
yeah,
So we can get that that on next episode.
yeah.
Then let's say front inner arches, and possibly outer arches the following episode. Then it's the pods, which probably I can imagine taking 2 episodes to get the pods and the A-pillars in. So that's four episodes effectively to do that. Then roof, boot, bonnet.
Yeah.
That's 7 episodes at one piece at a time.
I feel like bonnet's a bit more than that. It's a sort of front end and the actual front of the car on that
Yes.
as well. So but maybe
Yeah.
call it 8, but yeah, we're in that sort of
But
territory.
it is very much getting
Yeah.
to that kind of area for it, And if,
Yeah, not wrong. Not
at the
wrong.
moment, if the weather holds, if I manage to keep one out every time, that's 16 weeks
Yeah.
of episodes alternating between this and other cars. And if I run out of stuff to do on like the Thunderbird or the Golf or whatever else, then I can do more back to back on that. So
Yeah.
let's say it could be 3 months before all the bodywork is done.
It'd be nice if the neighbours could see it before they left the country.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That was one of the questions at the weekend. They were like, "Do you
Will
think
we
this will
see
be-"
it?
I
Yeah.
was like, I
We'll
think
see
it
what
will
it-
run.
yeah.
I don't know if it
Yeah.
would be like road legal.
But yeah, so there's that. So
It's just because, like, in my head, I'm aware that we've missed basically every other deadline we've had.
That's
Like,
not
we
true.
didn't get the engine. No, 'cause-
We had the first deadline. The first deadline was
A roller.
one year
Yeah.
to Wheels on the Ground, and we hit it. Although the episode came out the following January, it was done in the December. So
Yeah.
we made the
Like,
practical deadline.
In my head, and I think for a brief while in yours before we went off yak shaving, it was supposed to be that at the end of the next year the engine was supposed to have run.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
And
yeah,
we
yeah.
missed that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
what was it supposed
was-
to be last year? Was it supposed to be engine running last year as well? Because that's
engine-
also still not happened.
Engine running was meant to be 2019.
Yeah.
And we ended up basically yak shaving electronics and this, that, and the other. And it was a lot more involved in the end. And I had all the parts to do the fuel system, the brake system, and I, to be fair, made it my own problem. And I said, I'm going to do the brakes before I do the engine. And then didn't do the brakes. So that was my bad. And then I started doing body work, framing whilst you were away, which kind of wrote
Yeah.
off a huge chunk of 2020. So that pushed engine running back to Christmas just gone. I
Yeah.
said, just gone. It's July.
I know.
Christmas 2020 kind of went because pandemic got in the way doing a lot of things. So
You
I
know,
was
for how garbage 2021's been, it's going fast.
frightening. So 2021 is definitely engine running. Because the electronics are basically done.
Excuse
We're diagnostics and fact finding problems with it, but
Yeah.
it's in, which is a massive win.
Yeah, we're going to go through integration hell before long because
Yeah.
now we have almost all of the fuel system, we have almost all of the cooling system, we have almost all
no,
of the
the
braking
fuel
system.
system's complete. It's end to end complete from one end to the
Have
other.
we actually plumbed it, run the pump?
We haven't run the pump, but it's
Yeah.
complete. Actually, no, I tell a lie. The thing we're missing on the fuel system is the power. but we haven't touched any besides wiring on the lights. The light.
It's
plugs
more
at
just
the
like
front.
we have a whole bunch of stuff that's very nearly complete, and we're going to plug it all in, and all of these like 95% finished pieces of the car are all going to go. That bit's only 95% done.
Yeah. The biggest problem we're going to have coming up is where we've had to do little bits of exploratory stuff to work out how we're going to do something to explain it to people without dragging down and down and down, and we're going to end up jumping over little bits like constructing and working out what the roof is going to look like. Like that part, the start of that episode is going to be me going, so I made a thing accidentally and I built a roof. Whoops, I still have questions. But yeah, it's kind of skipped over an awful lot of it, which is a bit of a problem. It is a problem because obviously I should have been going, oh, well, I wonder, like, I have a phone with a camera in my pocket at all times.
Yeah, but it's like, there's some stuff that, like, it doesn't matter how easy it is to record video.
Yeah.
Like, when you're talking about shaping a panel over a skeleton,
Yeah.
like, if you're holding especially if you're holding a phone with one hand, and even if you're not, even if you have a tripod up or something, there's only so much you can do with your hands to explain a shape.
Yeah. And
like, sometimes, for a lot of the bodywork stuff, the only way to make it work, because God knows, if you could describe the bodywork with two hands and your words, I would understand it.
Oof, imagine that.
Right? So, there's just going to be a lot of stuff that you just have to go, so here's the finished thing, lol.
I mean, to be fair, in 2 weeks' time, you're going to know what the whole back of the car is going to look like, all the way down. Tomorrow I'm going to go and get some more sheet metal so we can start doing the clamshell over the back as well, which is a fairly simple piece, but what I need to work out is how I'm going to build the structure so it doesn't flex really. So obviously I can't just have a completely thin panel of aluminium. The question after that is, do we have like vents in it, louvers or anything like that? If we have louvers in it, are we going to have a plexi
Always have louvers
rather than metal louvers? But that's another complication to add in. If we're going to have louvers and we can see through the aluminium on the back, does that mean we want to put a window in behind us for a rear view mirror, etc, 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 etc. So there's lots of bits that kind of stack up there. I'm not against having a window in because of the way we've made the rear firewall realistically behind us. We've made it in a section where the next one will go in over the top.
Yeah, there is actually room for a window between us and the engine bay.
And it will probably be a removable piece so that we can take it out just in case it breaks or whatever happens. Yeah. Because it's going to have to kind of pop in. I don't really want to weld that in if it's going to not necessarily sit right around the cage and have other bits. So it's probably going to be like a three-piece affair that kind of goes underneath the cage and then has other little bits that pop rivet in and go onto it. But that means if we put that in, we've then got to have brackets on the sides that we weld into the B pillar, C pillar area for it to attach to on that, and then we have to seal it. So it's probably the right way to do it. In reality, is exactly that way. But if we do that, we can have it made out of aluminium instead of steel, which is obviously a nice weight benefit from having it higher up in the car. We keep the centre of gravity a bit lower. We can put plexi in.
Let's not say that too much after deciding to go with steel bodywork. Going with, it's not that much of a weight difference.
No, well,
you're not wrong. Obviously, yes, the aluminium does save weight.
A lot of the convenience of the steel wasn't the weight thing. It was the convenience of being able to throw it together and weld it in place. Because I don't know how I could have attached an aluminium one without just riveting it on.
As we were saying on the last stream as well.
Ugly to do.
As we were talking about on the last stream as well, the stressed skin that we're going to have now with the steel welded on. This thing is going to be just crazy strong.
Pull up the
I was literally
pull up the PedalBox Discord
Yeah.
to find this picture. So it's on the back here. So this is a GT40 page on YouTube, and they've built this custom chassis. And I found this, and I went, every day I'm reminded that I might have overbuilt our chassis just a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
And I get that this is very much built on an older set of technology, to be fair. This is not the same stuff. This has a dirty great 2" by 4" box section that runs right down the centre there.
We have dirty great 4" by 4" box sections running out the back.
Correct. So, this is fun. They have 2x2 or 2x2 around the frame of that, which is nice and simple. But that will probably you can see where it's got cutouts for things to go through. So it's probably got wiring loom and cooling and all sorts of stuff in there as well. So we're definitely not going to flex. Let's put it that way. We're not going to have much flex in the chassis to deal with, which is nice. This is a win. However, I probably could have made it a little bit lighter in reality, especially with a stress skin
Yeah.
across or most of the car anyway.
Yeah.
And it's why there's a lot of places like in the panels where I could make it a one piece, but it will take forever to make a big complicated one piece thing. I could make it out of fiberglass, but then I'd have to make a mold. I could mold it in situ, but it's a huge pain to do it. So at this point, I'm making a few sacrifices on my plans because the impact is minimal, but the benefits are huge. The benefits are massive, and I still think we're going to be under 800 kilos all in. As we were saying earlier, the chassis is, we think about
the 300-ish, yeah.
It's probably going to be between 320 and 350 by the time we've added in the extra bits of bodywork around
I guess
stuff.
it depends how you count it. Strictly, the chassis is probably about 300, but it had some other stuff in it. That
exactly, yeah. So the bare chassis is probably going to be under 350 with the cage and everything else. I mean, this is it. You look at your basic kind of Caterham, it doesn't have a full cage. It doesn't have a cage that encapsulates your legs, even if you get a cage that fits on. It doesn't normally go leg far. It normally stops about your knees. So we are a bit bigger in that respect anyway. So yeah, probably 350 for that. The engine and gearbox combo, once we take the Haldex drive unit off the four-wheel four-wheel transfer case off the back, is probably about the 150, 160 mark, I think. Because again, we've pulled the air conditioning off, we've pulled the power steering off, we've also pulled the pipe off the pipe off the very top, but we're going to have to put that back in for the other intercooler. So that's not ideal.
That's quite light anyway.
It is fairly light. It is an alley pipe, but there's bits and pieces. So I think with the engine's probably about the 160-ish dry. So that puts us at kind of 510. The seats weigh nothing because they're just fiberglass, so they'll have a little bit more padding on, but that's it. They're very light. You're talking about probably 20 kilos between them. The suspension and running gear is the big weight killer. Those trailing arms are about 30 kilos a piece.
Yeah, those are so heavy, it's unreal.
So yeah, it is really, really massive. I would like to make them again in tubular and see if we can do something different along those lines one day down the future, but not right now. If I'm over 800 kilos and it really bugs me enough, that will be the number one thing that gets done, because there's an easy probably 20 kilos to save in those by making them tubular and just different rather than the cast iron. But yeah, that's going to be going on there. I reckon there's got to be 100 kilos of suspension and wheel package in there.
The wheels are pretty chunky.
The wheels are 15 with the wheels are 18 on the rears and 18s on the fronts-ish.
And they're quite wide.
With tyres.
They're big.
But they're a good size.
Yeah.
But you're talking about 80 for the wheels and tyres, probably another 80, so that's sort of 550, so that's 650 with all of the running gear in.
Yeah.
The tank is light. The windscreen, alright, fair enough, whatever.
I think the big surprise is probably going to be the weight of all the sheet metal that ends up getting wrapped over it. I don't think it's going to be a lot, but I think it'll be more than we expect.
60 kilos.
You reckon?
I worked it out in rough panel area of what it is.
Because I remember, we did the side by side of like what would aluminium and steel both weigh given.
And what that's going to, and there are other bits that I've decided, I can actually make that out of aluminium at this point, so that will keep it a little bit lower. But I still think under 800 is achievable. Under 750 would be nice. Under 700 is like,
that feels bold.
Is a bit of a pipe dream.
We've already totaled near enough 700, and
I totaled.
We've not included the skin.
I totaled 650 including the skin.
Oh, including the skin was 650. Okay.
But there's a few other bits and pieces that I haven't included in there, so anything under 750 would be, I would be overjoyed under 750.
Yeah.
Under 800 is still my target though. So.
Well, I'm quite happy to stick to Gordon.
Murray.
How did I forget Gordon Murray's name? God damn. Tip of my tongue as well. Anyway, I'm quite happy to stick to Gordon Murray's golden rule. If you weigh less than a ton, you're probably okay. Yeah. Less is always better, but like a ton is your magic number.
If you can get under a ton, you're doing well.
So I think we've got some headroom.
Yeah, and then once this is done, once this big build project is done, then I'm going to start work in earnest on the Mark II and make that more fun. Because I've got a turbo for it now, so I really need to put some time into getting the turbo on and potentially making it four-wheel drive and making it a bit more
It's really, really annoying. You're going to have the turbo done on the MR2. Jesus, my brain is just goo today.
So
you're probably going to have the
I'm
turbo.
going to buy an MR2. That feels like license to buy an MR2.
It's all the reason you need. But I bet you'll have the turbo done on the Mark II before I'll have mine done on the Rover. Even though I have my manifold, if you can call it that. It's not the prettiest.
I mean, my manifold is
ECU.
my manifold is an off-the-shelf part. So like I have.
That's pretty much where I'm at. Like I feel like, God damn, I've had all this time and I already have these parts. I already have an ECU. I already have the turbo. I already have the manifold, and I still bet Aiden's going to have his done first.
All right, I'll take that bet. Hey, MR2
what, are you going to bet
the,
against me?
MR2 for the win. No, I'm going to bet. Well, I'm going to bet that I'm going to have it done.
Right.
First.
Okay. You just fair enough.
Which is
no,
in effect
no one's
going to
take that bet off you.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah.
Have you seen Ignition Motorsports?
Was that where you were going to flip up?
Yeah.
Which I just kind of screwed you on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's going up now.
Is it on their Facebook or something?
No, it's behind you. Well, I mean, it's not behind. It's not behind you, but it's there. Have they just got? Oh my God! They've just got a new spray booth.
They've got 2 new spray booths.
Oh my God! Okay, so Ignition Motorsport have had one lovely big spray booth in there, and they had an inflatable one, and I was offered use of their inflatable one if I wanted it, which was quite fun. And that's where the Thunderbird is going. Once I've made it approximately one colour, they are going to make it actually one colour, which will be nice.
2 things. Once it's Thunderbird shaped, and once it can get itself there.
Yeah, basically that. So the thing is, I'm looking at that and going, oh, he's put it there. Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
Is that across the back wall of the main room?
I think so.
Were there lifts there before?
There was at least.
Surely that can't be where I'm thinking it is.
No, I think the lift is behind it on the other side. Actually, yeah, but click the.
So that's where the lift. That's an old.
Yeah, so they've moved. So this is where the spray booth was. And they put a lift there, which is, to be fair, massively easier because the door basically drives through
where the camera is,
that way. So yeah,
don't mind us just reviewing other people's shops.
Yeah. So that's on there, and then they've moved the spray booth over that side, and I guess the other one must be on this side here potentially if they put a second
I'm gonna have to do a workshop tour when I get back to Pembrokeshire as well, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
But
it's fine. Honeydew stuff isn't classified.
It'll take a van.
Shot dog.
Oh, sorry. No, I've just worked out where the other one is.
Okay.
Well, that's the office door.
Oh yeah.
That was where the four poster.
Shit, that's in the middle of the.
Yeah, that was where the four poster.
Hell.
That was where the four poster was.
I mean, personally.
And also,
but
Shop Dog.
Yeah.
Shop Dog, best dog. Yeah, damn. Wow.
That's a bold place to put it.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, Shop Dog will be hot today. Okay, that's cool. I mean, I've been meaning to pop down there for a little while because my A6 needs a little bit of work doing. So cool. I'm going to pop down there and see if they'll let me do a quick tour around the workshop.
Yeah, we're much too busy building the SD1, the Mark II, the track car, and the T-Bird for us to have time to work on the dailies. Especially because, let's be fair, work on the A6 is just boring.
To be fair, there is no way I'm doing the work that needs to be done.
What needs done?
There is a valve in the automatic gearbox in the DCT which is slow acting. So after a while. It works reasonably well, and eventually you pull away, and it kind of slam engages the clutch and jerks a bit. So you've got to be really, really careful when it starts doing that, not to just slam the clutch and ruin the gearbox. So it's needed doing a little while, and now it's kind of biting the bullet at this point. It has to be done, so it's going to get done. So there's that, and there was something else as well that I needed to do. I did the service on it, but what else was it?
Did Aid show you the Crown Vic around town?
Oh yeah, there's a Crown Vic apparently cruising around Reading, which is good fun.
Crown Vics have been ruined forever by me by the fact I was made aware of the American version of Taxi.
Oh. Stop. No. Just, nope. Doesn't exist. I don't need to know anymore.
I still love watching that though, because I understand the French, and I just spent the entire
Honestly, the French Taxi films are brilliant. They're goofy as hell.
Yeah.
But like, and to be fair, I haven't watched the entire American one, so I might be judging it harshly. But I feel like American humour won't do the Taxi franchise justice.
No, the original French Taxi films are the precursors to Fast and the Furious. And not like Fast 1 and Fast 2 when it was still kind of street. I'm talking about like Fast 6 and 7 when it's all absolute insanity. And like cars that pop bits out of nowhere that can't... It just...
How are we on fair use?
No audio.
Okay, no audio is easy. I can do no audio.
Yeah, no audio, and as long as we are reviewing it and it is
okay, so we just have to comment
so
on it as we go along.
Basically that.
So I'm just skipping over an ad at the minute.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to pop you up on the old desk feed once you're ready.
So this, I think the best way to watch these is in French with English subtitles.
Yeah.
Because like the voice acting, such as it is brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of my favourite bits.
I'm going to put it like that so that we're not completely just ruining it over the whole thing.
I can't remember the plot of it. I can't remember why Sylvester Stallone is getting a lift in a taxi.
Did you say this was the American? No, this is the French one.
This is the French one. This is Taxi 3.
This is the 406, which has air jacks, scoops that somehow come up out of the back. The spoiler, I can let that slide. That seems perfectly reasonable.
Where did they come from?
The wheels coming out. I have questions.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Like, where was that? Sorry, I'm just gonna play that again real quick. Where did that come out of?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it also has a bike engine, because I'm not allowed audio, you can't hear that. But right now it's revving like a litre.
Basically all the way. Do you mind if I put some music on?
Yeah.
But yeah, let's.
But this is
tape deck as well.
Well, it's a what,
It's a
2003 or something film.
Yeah.
Like the 406 he's had since the original 1999 film. I was gutted when in Taxi 4 they replaced it.
Did they really?
They replaced the 406. Yeah.
What with?
So I can't remember. By the way, this is the one that ends one of the climactic scenes in this. This taxi sprouts caterpillar tracks. It lifts itself up on its air tracks. Its four wheels tuck in, and it deploys caterpillar tracks.
So you know, like Fast 6, 7, 8.
Oh yeah, no,
9,
it's pure ridiculous.
100%. It is absolutely. We could just do like a PedalBox review.
I do need to skip ahead a little bit actually, because so they send the gendarme pursuit car out at them, and apparently the taxi has rockets.
Why not? Doesn't every taxi? Every taxi in France
should have rockets. Yeah. With slightly dodgy CGI on the exhausts.
I mean, it's Taxi 3. It's not Taxi 1. The budget's fallen down at this point.
Yeah. But yeah, I need to find the scene with the caterpillar tracks
so
now.
So apparently, Sylvester Stallone that's an
now, to be fair, we will literally do this later. Okay. We will do an episode where we actually do a review of car films.
Okay.
And do it that way, because that sounds...
Uncredited cameo by Sylvester Stallone.
Uncredited?
That is brilliant. Okay, so at which point, if it's an uncredited cameo, that means he probably wasn't paid very much. And it also means he probably did it because he loves the films.
Probably.
And he went...
Yeah, 2003 that one was. Yeah. They were belting them out pretty quick.
Yeah, and somebody...
And he doesn't even speak in it either. He goes over because he can't speak French.
Yeah. So there's a really good chance that he probably did that for nothing but shiggles. And like, a little bit of money and stuff, but oh my god.
But also, the fact they actually built it...
I love it has a wing.
I know.
Still got a wing and
I feel like
scoop.
the wing is vestigial at this point.
Wing and roof scoops on a tracked car. I mean, it would only be worse if it had a diffuser on.
And he makes a good point.
Do not question.
Yeah, exactly. He was probably in the area and knew somebody that was working on it. It is entirely possible because that stuff happens a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that kind of stuff. It's the reason people like Daniel Craig are all of a sudden in the Star Wars films. It's completely uncredited because he was a stormtrooper, but it doesn't matter. He was in the area and they went, "Do you want to be in a Star Wars?" Yeah. Who would say no?
Pinewood, like there's an almost unending.
Exactly. It's anybody who's on the set is like, oh, is that happening? Oh, cool. Yeah. I'd
By the way,
like
though, do you not want that?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care that it's ridiculous. I don't care that you don't need a wing when you're going like caterpillar track slow. I don't even know what the splitter is supposed to be doing that far off the ground, but I don't care.
Yeah. It's not a splitter, it's a snowplow at that point.
I just want it.
But yeah, I like the sort of those little uncredited cameos you get in some things where people go, "Oh, hey, look, I'm in a thing." Yeah, he's in a thing. Why? Because he could be. So, I'm the ghost of the track tension. Yeah, pretty much. Is that what they...
So it was a yellow Crown Vic taxi, and that was...
Is that Queen Latifah?
It is Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah is the main character, the main driver in American Taxi. Sorry for the low res, like it's the only image that I can... Oh, then again, people who are watching the stream don't get to see that.
If I'm honest, the Crown Vic with a kit and stuff on doesn't look bad, because they did do a Marauder.
The thing is, I don't know what it is about it. I'm sure that a kit could work in principle.
Yes, that kit doesn't work.
It's the big vertical slab front and the duck bill, I think, that don't do it for me.
It's a bit NASCAR. front end, like slab,
Yeah.
slopey front end. If you find me a picture of a Marauder.
Oh, they also did the transformation in CGI, and it's extremely dodgy.
No.
The transformation, I think,
no.
is what put me off it.
Practical effects on
Yeah.
on Taxi 3 even were good.
Yeah. Now, they did use CGI in Taxi 3 as well.
Find me a
but,
picture of Marauder and you'll understand what I mean.
I'm going to have to do Marauder Crown Vic, aren't I?
Yeah. Because that's what Tom's got.
Yeah,
That's what
fail.
Tom's got.
What am I even... Sorry.
What are you doing?
I keep forgetting...
Vic-
Yeah, mate, don't...
it's some quality fail here.
So my web browser is entirely hotkey driven, and by default my keyboard doesn't type. By default my keyboard does stuff.
Yeah. So if you look at that one, see that's got a very.
Sorry, which one?
This one.
Yeah.
So it's got a slab. It's got a slab bumper. It doesn't have the duckbill, granted. But
Yeah,
it's
it also
still got-
doesn't drop down as far. I
It's
don't
got
think.
very similar wheels to it.
Yeah.
Some of them do have kits on that people put on, but that's very similar
Yeah.
to the Taxi one, but not obviously. Yeah.
In Taxi 3, it does a slalom ski course down.
Yes, it does on Caterpillar tracks.
Well, what else would you use the tracks?
But,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like it's on Caterpillar tracks at this. It's
Oh.
it's properly skiing down.
Okay.
It's on. Well,
It's a
it
good
wouldn't be
scene, though.
slicks, would it? But it would might as well be in.
Yeah, like I just.
Emmy
I just
has
don't
seen
know
the
what I think
American
about it.
one and forgot until she saw that picture.
You know what though, right? So I accidentally watched a clip from it, and I don't mean I was inflicted on it, like I accidentally got shown meat spin or something. But like I watched I watched the intro of Taxi, the American one.
Sorry,
and they got the cinematography so on brand for it that I identified it as a Taxi film.
Wow.
Like they actually nailed it that effectively. But it was before they got to the cars. They did the same sort of thing that they did in Taxi 1, where like
so
the French guy started out on a moped.
So I presume this is a later model Marauder.
I'm guessing so. But
Yeah, but again, this looks a lot more like the Taxi one.
yeah, you can kind of see it.
You see where I was coming from? Where I was like, no, it works. I don't hate it, but I hate the concept that it ruined the Taxi franchise.
Didn't they do a TV series as well for Netflix?
Oh,
Yeah,
there
they
was a
did.
TV series. Yeah, was it
I
the
think that
same
was American
universe?
as
It wasn't
well.
Yes,
just
it was.
because it was Taxi Driver I've heard of, but
Taxi
I don't
Driver
think
is
that's
different again.
Yeah.
I mean, Taxi Driver is De Niro.
Oh, is
See,
it?
then I get that mixed up with Baby Driver, which is very
No.
different. Because that's
Baby Driver's
Edgar-
amazing.
Yes.
Right.
An
Yeah.
amazing film, and yes.
Edgar Wright continues to amaze at
Yes.
every opportunity.
He's also a very, very nice person.
Is he?
We had
Oh.
I've had a lecture with him, and
What?
we just got to ask him loads of questions about his whole back catalogue, and it was
What's
frankly
this?
awesome. Queen Latifah and Jimmy Fallon.
But what's this? I don't care about the rest of it. What's this?
That appears to be.
Also, the opening scene where
Let's-
they deploy it into taxi mode. This thing pops up out of the bonnet.
Let's
Which is it's a
assume-
taxi movie. I'll allow it. It's ridiculous.
Yes,
I don't
yeah,
know how
yeah.
your engine's
No, no.
transforming. A bumblebee got in there or something.
No,
whatever.
I'll allow that.
However,
in
it drives
principle.
along with all 4 butterflies closed.
They're not even all 4.
They're not even
closed.
all the same there.
Yeah, this one is the most open, followed by this one, followed by this
Yeah.
one, followed by this one. They've got a massive problem. Their carbs must be ruined. There's no way that can be working.
I feel like we should put your degree to use and do PedalBox reviews car films.
Yeah, we probably should.
Actually, you should get
I
you
should-
should get some people from school.
I should get guy that I was on my MA with actually did sort of like curation of films, and he does a podcast
Oh, cool.
on films and stuff like that. I could try and get him down. He's the
You
American
wanna
guy
call
that
me,
we met
Screen Yola.
who was
Oh.
chatting. Nick. Nick? I'm sure it's Nick.
Goodbye, President of America.
I'm convinced it's Nick.
Sleep well. And my
Right.
condolences for having to get up early.
Thanks very much,
Also,
Ronald.
we're now 40 minutes nearly into our sign-off.
Oof.
Because I wondered if you were getting into a sign-off.
Solid work.
36 minutes ago.
Solid work. Yeah. I'm going to check and see, and then see if he would be up for it.
Not nearly enough.
Yes, it is Nick. Yeah.
You probably wouldn't guess the terminal from the screenshot. There's not enough chrome in it to tell.
You American? Yeah, he's only studied in Minnesota. Sorry.
Is that Idaho man? I'm Idaho.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, so we had a film themed Halloween fancy dress at the school, and on it there was some quality stuff there. But Nick in particular had like pink kind of pastel trousers on, a blue, like a dark blue pastel t-shirt on, and a sheet of paper with a little bit of sellotape taped to it, and it just said Idaho across it. I'm like, you are Ralph Wiggum. And he went, yes, you're the only person to have realised that. And then this gives Chris the opportunity to, from the corner of the room, shout,
Like, what?
no!
Oh! Sorry, I was...
Because, yeah,
Way out.
and he was Idaho. There was another one of my friends who was walking around, and he had a red jacket on, and he had a box, and all I saw was the box that he was like poking his head through, and he was the door as well as Matey from The Shining. He was just poking his head through the door and carrying an axe around. I'm like, that is brilliant. So there was some quality. There was somebody else there. One of them came as the clown from It, and the other one had a piece of string tied around their head coming down off their chin, and their face was painted red, and they had a red cap on, and they were the balloon. Absolute
These
gold.
people.
And then they had a kid, so there was three of them. There was the kid, the balloon, and it.
Yeah, it was
Amazing.
absolutely beautifully done. But yeah, I think Nick would be a good one. We could get him on. Maybe try and get him on for that. That'd be cool.
We can get the call in with.
Yeah, if we can get the call in working, we could feasibly do like PedalBox reviews in a semi-serious fashion. Film car chases and car things from films, because then we could go through Taxi, Fast and the Furious, obviously Bond. Like, there's a wealth of films in there to keep messing on with.
I need to watch the rest of the Taxis. So the bit that I found the most confusing with the first Taxi film.
I'm actually going to have to set you up a microphone for over that side and another camera
sorry.
looking this way so that people can see when you're talking.
Sorry, I didn't. I don't know how.
Just project,
much I
it'll be
do or
fine.
don't.
You're audible, but you're still a bit quiet, I would imagine.
So in Taxi, if you're listening to the French and reading the subtitles at the same time, they translate to make it make more sense. So the national speed limit in France is 80 like the typical speed limit would be 80 kilometers an hour.
No.
Well, so like
National
80 or 110, which is national.
130.
Is it 130?
It's 130 kilometers
But 80
an hour,
is
yeah.
equivalent to 50, isn't
80 miles an hour is 130k.
it? But 50 miles
60
an hour would be...
60 miles an hour is 100, so 50 is roughly 80 kilometers.
So
yeah.
at one point it has the sign that's 80, and the passenger goes, slow down, it's an 80, but the subtitles say, slow down, it's only a 50.
Oh.
Like,
Oh,
I
so
see
they
why
go
they're
yeah.
doing it,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
for relevance and like so
Yeah,
that like
sure.
it kind of
I get it, but I'm not laughing.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. Are you Linux nerding at the moment in chat?
Yeah.
Massively.
I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it's it's Luke's terminal that I've modified mine from.
Fair. But yes, so there is indeed a lot more stuff coming soon. I'm hopefully, given the weather is good, going to try and keep up the one a week on videos. We'll see how well that goes. I'm not going to push at the cost of video quality for it and progress. I'm still going to try and keep it up, but it's more that I want to make progress. And if I'm trying to hit 1 week at a time, I will actually be forcing myself to make progress along with doing a bunch of other things. I've got some documentaries that I'm trying to get off the ground as well, so I have actual work to try and do, which, yay! It's not a full-time job, but it is a job that takes up absolutely every ounce of your time. And my life is just work and video. And when I'm not doing video work, I'm out here doing car work for video, and then doing the video of the car work instead of doing video work. And it all just goes round and round and round. But honestly, it's a fun job. I don't regret anything. Except maybe the pay.
I have got pulled over by the police.
I pay myself, but yeah, I don't pay myself enough. I should have words with myself. But yeah, I've had some quite fun jobs. I had to pick up a mannequin of an actress from a studio workshop where it was obviously being made for a body double for purposes of this film, which when it comes out I can probably tell you more about, but the workshop wrapped it in black plastic, but it was very much body shaped. So I just put it in the boot and just drove through central London with what was absolutely 100% blatantly a body in the back of my car. And when we then had some police on set because of some of the other stuff we were doing, I said, does this look suspicious to you? And showed them the picture and went, I would have pulled you over. I would have had so many questions. I'm like, good. I like that you would have pulled me over, but I would have had some hilarious answers for you. Unfortunately, he laughed. So I think I would have got away with it. But yeah, we will eventually get around to getting the engine out of the Golf, which is the kind of long-term thing at the moment. There's all of this yak shaving that's been happening to get the kit car back together enough to make space, which it is now because we have the engine back in. Just need to get a few more bits out of the garage and get the panel work back on the Thunderbird, and we're basically good. And the panel work should be happening in the next couple of weeks, as well as... We seem to go in weird fits and starts of doing things. There was a period where we did all of the brake work and brake lines on the kit car, and then simultaneously did all of the brake lines that we needed, or as many of the brake lines and brake stuff that we needed to do on the Thunderbird, one after another. Which was absolutely no use whatsoever.
Yeah, I think
then I was like, oh, I'm gonna do some body work, and now I'm doing body work on the Thunderbird and the kit car at the same time. It's just one after another after another. Which...
And it's a little irritating at times. It's like we do a whole bunch of stuff in one area, but we never quite finish that one thing.
So I've just noticed. I just got an email saying that Nyax has become a patron. Welcome to the party, Nyax. You will hopefully have automatically received your link for Discord, but I haven't checked to see whether you've actually joined the Discord. But I will have a look right now and see. Do we have... We do! We have a Nyax. Well done. Thanks very much, Nick. Yes. So the system works. It does automatically spam when you become a patron. So, perfect example. Watch along.
To be fair, I should have just said to you that was not in question, because I 100% know that the Discord integration is basically instant. But
I'd never checked.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone who has the Patreon account linked to Discord, it's like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool.
Like pretty much by the time you see the receipt page, like you're done.
That's good. But yeah, so I've got a bunch of fun stuff coming soon in amongst this, which will also be potentially part of the PedalBox channel. Possibly, I don't know whether it might end up going... Well, hopefully it will go on this channel first and foremost, and maybe we can spin it off into something as a secondary channel if it starts cluttering it up, but I'd very much like to try and keep everything on the one channel to like focus everyone's attention, and we'll see how many people... So Bad Obsession did one recently. For the life of me, I can't remember what car it was that they did, but they did a little like 6-7 minute overview on this very nice classic car. I absolutely can't remember what it is, and they got loads and loads of hate for it, and people are like, oh, you've become a documentary channel. Well, I'm unsubscribing now. Well, like, you're watching a car build. They're already a documentary channel. Like, if you're watching somebody building a project, it is a documentary.
I don't know. I kind of get it, because
I get what they mean, but by the same token, after having done 7 years of work in an ongoing project and still continuing with the project actively and adding other projects in as they went along, having one video that goes, hey, this person's got a really nice car that we met. Isn't that lovely? And somebody going, well, I'm unsubscribing because you did that one short video, table flip. Just seems really, really weird, like cutting your nose off to spite your face. So hopefully we don't have anybody like that watching ours, but if we do, there is literally nothing we can do about it.
I kind of get it, because
smash that dislike button.
There's a bunch of channels that I watch because I like the creators.
Yes.
They can make more or less anything I'll enjoy. Tech Ingredients is one of them. Like, I trust that whatever they make, like he's done videos about distilling and stuff, about making whiskey, and I don't give a shit about whiskey. I just don't care.
Yeah.
But I watch it anyway. Like, he can make a video on anything and I'll enjoy it because of the way he sort of engineers about everything.
Yeah.
But there's other channels.
Oh, that's a good word,
isn't it? There's other channels.
We should get t-shirts made up.
It's not my term.
Engineering.
Yeah.
Warning, engineering in progress.
But like, there's other channels, and I only watch them specifically because of what they're doing. And if they do something else, I don't want to watch something else on their channel. And I get it. Like, it's their channel. They're free to. I'm not going to say they have to change what they do.
By the same token,
I probably wouldn't unsubscribe over it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Would you just not watch those videos and still watch the other ones? That's the thing. Would you, if somebody did a video on X,
I guess it depends on the ratios. Like,
XY.
I think honestly, I think at that point, if it was 50-50 stuff I'm not interested in, stuff I probably would unsub.
But if the repeatability, if the frequency of your primary thing didn't change, So it was still like,
I
for
would
example,
probably still unsubscribe to declutter my feed of the stuff that I'm not interested in.
Yeah, fair
it's
point.
It's not like it's not so much about losing the good stuff. It's about losing the bad stuff.
Yeah, fair point.
And I'm
But you
not
still-
saying that's a universal
it's,
standard.
It's still not
but-
necessarily the actively hatred. Of,
No, and I'm certainly not going to
well,
leave
blah,
angry
blah, blah,
comments
blah, blah,
in.
blah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which just,
Which the algorithm loves anyway. So.
yeah, it's a comment, it's interaction. The algorithm will push it. To be
Yeah.
fair, they commented that on Facebook or Instagram, I think. But either
Yeah.
way, like the point still stands. It seems very, very weird that you would just go, "Oh, you've done one video that I didn't like, so I'm going to leave." Like, what? I mean, to be fair, what we've been doing, we've added more content in, if anything else. We've managed to roughly stick to, because originally we were going to do 1 episode a month, and then we went to 2 episodes a month, but one of them was Fleet and one of them was still at least our original concentration by time of 1 kit car every month, except for when problems come up and we do nothing, which
I feel like Chris is distracting Ronald Reagan.
A little bit. Sorry. Yeah, we are slightly nerding out.
and not wishing to be that person.
PedalBox Talks Software, another channel coming to you soon.
Yeah, I genuinely,
Chris.
I do actually want to
I hate
do.
software.
I do genuinely want to do a nerd channel.
It was more
it
that
is
he
the
said
old
he
thing.
wanted that they said they wanted to go
Yes,
to bed.
yeah.
So like
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
But yes,
apologies.
it's,
so you can
it's-
watch, you know, you can be tuned into the stream from bed and just chatting shit.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that. We haven't actually diluted down by virtue of time. We've diluted the content, but we've gone to like Roadkill and we've gone to Retro Rides, which hopefully, all being well, I'd really like to get back to Retro Rides Gathering this year and go up the hill. Maybe in the golf we can. Maybe we can go up.
The Rover's
every
definitely
time you
going
say
up.
that, something bad happens.
I know. I do want to try and rig something up so that I can basically drop the little 4K camera that we've got into somebody's car on the dashboard and video them going up the hill or hang it off the back.
Mate, we can put it in the SD1. Like, obviously, it's not a race car. It's very much
but
not
it's
a race
still,
car.
it's still the
especially-
hill, isn't
yeah.
it? You know.
And
The,
it will never get out of first all the way up.
Yeah. And so one of the Autoholics Anonymous group that we have on the Facebook chat that we have going on, there is a guy in there who works for Lotus. And
Is there?
Yes, last weekend he went up the hill at Goodwood.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I'm not totally jealous of him at all.
just maybe
But-
a little bit.
Yeah, we may have directed him into our Lotus Emira kind of walkthrough of all the stuff. And he was like, "Can you confirm or deny?" It's like, "I can confirm or deny nothing. I'm still under NDA." But we have seen a couple of little sneaks when they've come up, and he's like clarified some stuff that we guessed at, and then helped a little bit, which is nice. So yeah, we did get some things right, which is
Nice.
cool. But yeah, it's I'm
When you talk enough
ridiculous.
bullshit, you'll hit occasionally.
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't yet managed to obviously blag an Emira from him, but maybe if you help our channel get big by commenting and subscribing, it's
So,
it's worth a go.
I know someone who just recently
to
managed
be honest,
to get their
hang
first
on, if
press
all we
car.
can do is get to the site and have them go, "Hey, it's you guys," that would be swell.
Yeah. But yeah, I know someone who just recently got their first press car, and it's like it feels like such a massive step in legitimizing yourself and like shaking off imposter syndrome. But this is someone who's also like been well known by autojournos for like a couple of years. I'm not sure if you'll have seen the name. You've probably seen the articles on the Drive. Victoria Scott doing the Vans Continental Express.
Yeah.
I've recently got a Honda Ridgeline to road test.
Right. So I do a lot of runner work with films, and I'm still in contact with people at the school. So I occasionally get phone calls, and I had the single most hilarious phone call. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but basically it was a problem. It was one of those problems where somebody came to me and said, "Adrian, you're a person that knows people and can fix things, and I'd like you to help me fix this very, very, very weird problem." And I laughed for 5 solid minutes over this because it is gold. I'll check with it. If I can tell you more about it, I will. I'll find out.
You can't just tease like that.
Oh, God. Okay, right. My favourite conversation I've ever had with anybody on the phone, almost ever, is, "Adrian, I need to drown a child in pea soup. Can you help?" And I instantly went, I am down, yes, how can I help? And it turns out I can help, and I have helped, and no children have been harmed in
No
this.
children
Or
actually
will be.
drowned.
Or
in
will
pea
be
soup.
harmed in the amount of doing this, but honestly, Adrian, you're a person who knows how to fix problems. I need to drown a child in pea soup is easily one of my favourite things I've known
This
for.
feels like the sort of thing Cade
Ever.
gets to do quite a lot of. Not
Yeah.
so much drowning children with food stuffs, but like this general, I want to do something really, really stupid.
I have a guy
Who
for
do I
that.
talk to? And it's this guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the whole
I would
legitimi-
love to be that.
the
Like,
whole
that's such a
legitimizing yourself, getting that phone call
Yeah.
from somebody who I've only had a very brief experience with,
Yeah.
but they've gone, I know who can help me. I'm going to make
Yeah.
a call. That's a really good feeling.
Yeah.
Even
By the
if
way,
it is a very weird selection, but we're nearly on an
Yeah.
hour of wrap up.
Also, by the way, you should all go read the Vans Continental Express on the drive. It is a very, very good story.
But yeah, I honestly that oh
We
god.
will drop
Nearly
it
a
on
1 hour
the
And as I say, I absolutely can help. I have helped. They've dropped a couple of the ideas they originally wanted, but I've solved in potentia a couple of problems for them with just knowledge that I have, and I keep being known as you have a lot of knowledge about a lot of things.
You're that weird nerd.
I do have I know a lot of little bits about a lot of random things, and that's not me blowing my own trumpet. It's people keep telling me, yeah, but you know loads of stuff. I'm like,
I spend way too much time on Wikipedia
I
and
get-
YouTube. Of course I do.
yeah, basically that. There was a long time where I just sit with a YouTube video and I
I've
just
got
browse through
3.5%
stuff.
of a battery left, so
Oh,
I'll close that up.
yeah, that's dying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where we're up to on all the projects. It's all going pretty
I
well.
love how you've said that like 8 times this
I know,
episode.
'cause I keep
Usually, not
keep
even after
trying.
talking about a project,
I keep
you'll talk
trying
about
to
something
wrap up.
completely different and go, so that's where the projects are all at. Like,
I come back to my tangents these days. There was a time where I just continually go off on tangents, and I'd never
tangents on tangents. I had a college lecturer like
Yeah,
that when
I
I was
would-
doing motorsport.
I would
It was
never
great.
wrap them up, but I
Yeah.
really try hard to try and wrap stuff up. now.
If we were getting bored of whatever he was trying to teach us, we'd just ask him a question about anything, and he'd just go wandering.
Gold.
Yeah.
Oh, teachers like that, especially when you're like
Yep.
13, 14.
Watch,
or
I'm going to
like-
go off on a tangent now. I had a teacher like that.
Yeah, you can
He
save the story for Mr. Brown.
he was
for
yeah.
another
I'll
day.
do that one a different
Do you want
day.
to keep it for next stream?
Yeah, but I had
Now that we're 50 minutes
I
into
had
the wrap
a
up.
lute playing, melodin playing, Morris dancing nuclear physicist as a teacher at college.
As you
He was a doctor of nuclear physics, to be fair, at Durham, and honestly, he was great. Because you could ask him random stuff, he'd be like, I don't know. It's like actually a teacher that says, I don't know. And there was one particular question that I was trying to work out, and I went back to him after about 4 weeks and went, oh, I think I figured it out. No, it doesn't work. I'm talking rubbish. And he went, yeah, you're probably right. Not that I was talking, well, I mean, I was talking rubbish, but he was probably right. I was probably right in my conclusion, and his major failing was, he said, unfortunately, I'm a nuclear physicist, not an astrophysicist, so I can't give you the answer definitively to that. And I went, that is
I'll take it.
fair...
Yeah.
That's a fair excuse to have. Unfortunately, I spent my doctorate in another discipline. Yeah, seems perfectly reasonable.
Like,
Yeah.
But-
There's
all
actually-
melt.
I must admit, this has been a really good fun stream for something that we basically didn't.
Pulled out of our asses.
Yeah, we basically didn't prep for it. We did no printing. We attempted to print
Twice.
twice. Yeah, we attempted to print twice and
Yeah,
and
it
didn't.
could have gone better.
It could have gone better. We'll try and get it done. Maybe have the parts fitted, or we'll save them for the following weekend, and then we'll show you them and then fit them with a bunch of other stuff. But
I'm kind of impressed at how
Basically-
big of a nugget that came out.
you need to commit to trying to print one thing a day.
One thing a day.
One thing a day. I mean, this is, that's one thing. It's nearly done. It could start. You
Well, that's
could have
two
that
things.
done.
I'm paid up till the weekend.
I'm intrigued as to how bad this is at printing. Send me the STLs. Yeah, okay. Send it to
Yeah, right.
Mint, and we'll try it on yours, and then
Yeah.
we'll try it. It could, in fairness, be the heat in there that's
Probably
causing
not.
it. Really?
No, the bed is anywhere from 50 to 60 degrees, and you ideally want the whole chamber
Yeah.
as close to that as possible. So,
Fair.
but I know PLA's really forgiving.
Did you
it
put
doesn't
it
give a
back
shit.
downstairs, or is it still
It's
up?
still up in my
It's
room.
still in your. Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. So it's Like, it can be, even if the heat was a problem, it
But
can
like
still
in
be
an,
cool.
in an ideal world, you have them in an enclosure so
Yeah.
that they actually are hot.
Well,
in there.
we did for a while.
Yeah, well,
We had it in our shower cubicle downstairs because we have a shower and bathroom upstairs, and to get to the one downstairs, you
It's
have
pain.
to go.
it's in the utility room, which
it's-
makes it
yeah.
kind of not very useful.
It's the furthest point from any given bedroom in the house. You have to
Yeah.
walk all the way down through the kitchen and then in. And
Yeah, so we
then,
put a table in our
like,
little shower
no.
cubicle and put the printer on the table, and it was really, really good. The only reason it's
Yeah.
not in there is because one day
You broke it. Well,
I can't remember
it
how I
broke.
broke it. I think somehow.
No, it broke, and then you went, "Oh God, I don't know what's wrong with it." You took it
Yes.
upstairs to take it apart, and it turned out it was a
It was
little
the probe in
yeah.
the BL Touch.
Yeah, and it was like
it like
that
got
much.
bent over and and stuck inside the BL Touch, so I just had to pull it back out and straighten it. It was
Yeah,
fine.
and it would have been.
But yeah, I
absolutely
kind of exploded
perfect.
the whole machine all over my room.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh well.
but that's not what killed it. It's printed up. It's printed fine a lot since then.
Yeah, it has. I mean, well, it's printed both of these
Yeah.
and a bunch of other bits as well. So yeah, it's just being really,
1 hour
really
sign
weird.
off. Go us.
It's an end of 5.
End of 5 plus.
Oh, we still have Ronald. Yeah, it's an end of 5 plus.
Yeah.
It's
It's a good machine. Can recommend it. But before
So,
you
yeah.
build it, get some anti-backlash nuts on the Z-axis because it squeals quite badly.
Yeah, it does from time to time. We used to be able to hear it a little bit downstairs when we were in here, but meh.
Oh, that's the
And
thing
again,
that
it's the
sounded like a saxophone riff, and I was very. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's all
At
right.
one point, yeah.
Sometimes when the bed's dropping, it goes up silently and when it drops.
Weird.
Yeah. There's like a ringing noise.
See, the question is, do we do another 16 minutes and make it to
No.
3 hours?
No,
It's too hot.
no, because I'm sweating my cock off right now and I want to go to bed
Yes.
in my air-conditioned room on my bed that's currently covered in garbage from prepping to move.
Grats.
Yeah.
Right, in that case, if you haven't already, do as Nyax did and go to
Give us your money.
patreon.com/slash PedalBox show. You can see my voice is going. I have actually been drinking to try and
Yeah.
lubricate my throat. And you can become a patron. You can get on our Discord for as little as $5 a month, but you can do it from as little as $1. And also go to shop.pedalbox.show where you can buy the merch, which is mugs, not admittedly like this one, hats, baseball caps, beanies, t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve t-shirts as well, which I think I've only actually sold one of the long sleeves. I really need to get better at doing the merch, but I've been waiting and waiting. Basically, it's my fault, but you know, whatever. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, especially if you've been tuned in for all 2 3/4 hours of our stream today.
We're
We're
troopers. We
in
appreciate
endeavour-
you and the watch time that you contribute to our analytics.
Correct. Go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
Why not? You know what's coming. You can preempt the comments. Or you can look really smart in the main video comments and put timestamps with answers to things before we say stuff and look really, really smart. So yeah, do that. Like, comment, subscribe, share it around. If you know anybody who likes idle rambling, link them to the channel, tell them to watch this one, watch other stuff, and tune in next week for the next one on probably
The
Thursday
war
again,
failed
really.
Well, I'm not.
Well, you're not here,
Yeah,
so-
you'll be with
yeah.
Rive on the next one.
Yeah,
think,
I will probably be doing. It might be a Wednesday or a Thursday, depending on his availability, because he ends up working late some nights and not others. So it might
Rive's a
not even.
responsible man with a proper job that
Yeah.
occasionally makes him do overtime.
Yeah, it might not even be a Wednesday or a
Ooh.
Thursday. It might be a Friday. Who knows?
Here's my complaint about career trajectories. You start
Yeah.
off as a schlub that has to do overtime all the time. Then you get to a certain point, you don't have to do overtime anymore. Then you get to a certain point, you have to do overtime again.
Yeah.
The difference is now it's not paid anymore.
Yeah. Overtime should always be paid. I don't care whether you're salaried or
It
not.
should
you
be,
should get
yeah,
either
no, I agree.
paid time back or time back in lieu. Either one is
This
good.
is the part where Yoda just kills the stream midway
Yeah.
through
No,
one of our
I nearly
sentences.
did
Just
accidentally
to-
because I'm just ready to.
No, you should have. You should have. That would have been really funny.
Right. Let us leave all of our good people to their I mean, some people have left already, to be fair. We're down to 7. So, we will see you all next week, hopefully. Bye-bye.